Chapter 499. The merchants in Lianzhou City did not know how they managed to get home in the end. In any case, when they woke up early in the morning, they heard their families saying that they were talking in their sleep. They kept saying that they were a good person and that their lord was a good official. The merchants knew that they were saying it on purpose. However, when they talked too much, they started to say it in their dreams. They had no choice but to do so. If they did not keep thinking about it, they would easily reveal their true thoughts at the dinner table. In other words, it was easy for Provincial Governor Fang to hear them scolding Provincial Governor Fang. That would be troublesome. They did not know what was waiting for them in the future. After drinking some soup and calming down, these merchants gathered again. They could not wait any longer. They had not taken out the money yet. When they took out the money, who knew what kind of method Provincial Governor Fang would come up with to get the money? Although these merchants were powerful when they worked together, they were not as strong as Provincial Governor Fang. If Provincial Governor Fang really wanted to touch them, he could just find a random reason. The merchants gathered together. At this time, they did not have to smile at anyone. One by one, they poured out all the troubles in their hearts. In the end, they had no choice but to find a good backer. Naturally, that was Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce. They did not want to pay the money at first. Now, after being cheated by Provincial Governor Fang, they had to pay the money obediently. Although they could not get the money back easily, after all, Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce did a good job. It was reassuring. Provincial Governor Zhang's character was there. It was better than coming here every few days. In this way, they would not have to pay the 150 strings of coins in the future. This was the situation in Lianzhou. The other provinces followed suit. They used all kinds of methods to plunder the merchants. After all, the status of merchants was low and they did not have to care so much. If they were to plunder the common people, it would be easy for them to get into trouble. All kinds of scholars would not care about this. In their hearts, the merchants should be dealt with. They would not care about the common people. At least, this kind of thing did not involve them. They could not do anything about it. The practices of these provinces had forced the merchants to come to Lu Zhou to cooperate with the merchant association here. After paying the entrance fee and the deposit, they finally felt relieved when they received the proof from the merchant association. They did not come here in vain. The goods here were divided according to the entrance fee. This allowed them to earn some money through this trip. It was better than being bullied in their own provinces and constantly having to fork out money. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not expect that Shang Yi would suffer so much in the neighboring province. Good, this was very good for the two of them. Only with a comparison could they feel happy. It seems that we should spread the news of what happened in the surrounding provinces to more provinces and let the provincial governors and other officials of the other provinces learn from them. Merchants with backing might not be afraid, but most of them don't. We should take this opportunity to expand the Chamber of Commerce to those provinces. We should accept more merchants. Moreover, my family has an official position, so we don't have to worry about ordinary people daring to touch us. We can try to use the economy to influence politics. Do you think it will work? It's not the way of hoarding. If that's the case, the local government can directly find trouble with us. It doesn't matter who has backing. We can use logistics to transport the goods to other places to be sold. We can also use the exchange of goods between the merchant association to avoid this risk. This way, the local government will not be able to get a handle on us. Zhang Xiaobao did not expect that so many officials would kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. This made him happy. Only when others were treated unfairly could his Chamber of Commerce expand at a faster speed. This was especially true for the entrance fee and deposit. This money was basically for his own use. The entrance fee was a direct income. As for the deposit, although it was said that it would be returned, all merchants basically had to trade back and forth. In other words, as they received more goods from the Chamber of Commerce, their trade would become bigger and bigger. The Chamber of Commerce didn't just sell the goods to them at a slightly lower price. They also had to help them make some plans so that they could grow faster. With this plan, there wouldn't be any conflicts between them, and they could reasonably adjust the positions of the merchants in the same Chamber of Commerce. In this way they would develop. In that case, in order to get more goods, they would have to increase the entrance fee. In order to get more profits, they would also have to increase the deposit. These two kinds of money could be used for other things. They would not have to worry about taking it out. If a merchant did not manage well, then a part of the deposit would be deducted, which was even better. Thinking about this, Zhang Xiaobao was ready to set up a bank. Most of the money was put in and taken out little by little, or saved little by little. This way, more money could be used for investment. Wang Wan also knew about this. In the past, the international community had joined forces to investigate an illegal gambling organization. This organization's gambling was not a big deal. Some countries allowed it. It was a worldwide organization. Through the internet, they settled in US dollars. There was an account where money could be taken out after winning, and money could be added in after losing. Through this method of making money through competitions, it felt that the investment each time was not much. If you wanted to buy tens of thousands of dollars, you would not sell it. It was because of this that many people were willing to enter and play. It was a kind of entertainment. When playing for a day, they would only lose a few dozen dollars. If they won, it would depend on their ranking. At most, they could win a few $1,000s a day. It felt that the website did not make much money, and they could only take a little bit each time. However, there were many people. Many people had more than $1,000 in their accounts, or even thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in virtual money. This money was used by the people of the organization to invest. Later on, due to the failure of the investment, some of the players ran on the bank. This time, they were sued because they did not have enough money. Wang Wan thought that since they could not stop the gambling here, they should come up with a similar solution. A single person could win a lot if they won once, but everyone could only lose a little after playing enough every day. Thinking of this, Wang Wan immediately told Zhang Xiaobao about this idea. Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about how to get more money to carry out a thorough plan. He did not expect that Wang Wan would also think of a method. If this method was done well, not only could it solve some gambling problems, but it could also get more living money. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's find a place to experiment first. We can't just go to a strange place to try it. How about Yaozhou? Huayuan County is in charge of the gambling there, but it may not be the same for other counties. We can start from there and organize the gambling. We have to make the gambling process longer. For example, after playing for a day, the winner will be ranked according to the ranking, and a portion of the gambling money will be given. Those who lose can only lose 5 copper coins a day at most. Even if he wants to be a prodigal, he can't be a prodigal. It would be strange if he lost all his money at this speed. Moreover, as the number of times he plays games with skills increases, as long as he is not a fool, he can gradually improve his skill level. In the end, he can gradually win back the money he lost. Yes, set the upper and lower limits of gambling money each time and guide them to play. It's better than gambling with dice, right? You can bet as much as you want. If you lose, it's all gone. If you win, you'll have more. Even in Yaozhou, you can think of a way to get the Yaozhou government to help you catch those people who are still gambling outside using dices and other methods. Zhang Xiaobao finally got rid of one of his worries. He was very disgusted with people gambling, especially those who gambled until they went bankrupt. Every time he saw such a thing, even if he knew that he couldn't do anything about it, he still felt helpless. Gambling was actually an idea to reap without sowing. Of course, the process of gambling was actually a kind of labor. However, this kind of labor could not produce any actual goods and was not good for society. If people from other countries came to gamble, it would be a different matter. The two of them discussed several games that could be used to gamble and wrote down the details. Then they found the Old Man Pai. When they told the Old Man Pai was puzzled at first. Then he was very surprised, and then he was very happy. He said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Good idea, really good idea. I will also help. Now we will try it in Yaozhou. If it works, we will do it in the whole Tang Empire in the future. Those who win can win a lot, but those who lose can't lose much. A few people win, and most people lose. Not bad, not bad. Did you two come up with this idea? The old man suddenly asked as he was talking. Ordinary people would not think of this at all. Only children like to play games. These games were very interesting at first glance, but there were more rules in them. They did not know whether it was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan who came up with it, or the master behind the Zhang family. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already expected this question. They nodded and shook their heads. Zhang Xiaobao said, "Grandpa Bai, Cuckoo and I came up with this idea when we had nothing to do here. But we couldn't think of so many things, so we asked others to add on. Grandpa Bai, will this really work?" "Yes, why not? We will put it in Yaozhou and let the government there organize it, not your family. Otherwise, what will other places do? Don't tell me that after it succeeds, your family still wants to earn this commission from other states?" The old man thought that this was right. How could two children think of so many rules? However, his next sentence made Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan dumbfounded. The two of them did not expect that the old man would hand this matter to the government. The two of them looked at each other and saw the gloomy look in each other's eyes. They wanted to use this to get money, but now, they had to give it to the government for no reason. Why? However, when they saw the old man Pai's serious look, the two of them really did not have a better idea. According to what the old man said, the two of them could only achieve one wish, and that was to prevent people who gambled from losing all their property. Of course, this method had a disadvantage, and that was that it could easily attract people who did not gamble to participate in it. What? You still want to earn this money? Then how will you do it in the future? When the local government sees that you are making money, won't they think of ways to make trouble for you? The old man saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's expressions and knew what the two children were thinking, but this was definitely not something he could do. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and said, "It's not that we want to do this ourselves. If this matter is handed over to my family, then my family can guarantee that it will be fair. However, if it is handed over to the government, it will be difficult, especially when a portion of the money is used to exchange for chips. Who can guarantee that the government will not embezzle this money? What if the government sees that this money is basically a small amount and takes out more than half of it to do other things? Once it is lost, and someone collects it to exchange for some money, then what will he do? What will those people who participate in it do? If it is my family, it will not be like this. My family has a lot of business, and we don't lack this money. When the time comes, we can exchange it for others at any time. How about this? Let my family and the government jointly manage this matter. My family will be responsible for the money of the chips, and the government will earn the money left after each time. This way, it will be solved and the government will not be able to touch the money of the chips." Grandpa Bai, don't you think this is good? We can't have thought of a good idea for nothing, right? The chips will be made by my family. If the government wants to buy the chips from my family, they can use a portion of the money they earn every day to buy the chips. I think this matter is very good. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Wang Wan also said, Yes, Grandpa Bai, we can't let the government take care of it by themselves. If something happens, everyone will not play this game in the future. At that time, everyone will run to gambling again. This is a game, not gambling. It is just a game with a little bit of luck. Grandpa Bai, if you really want the government to do something independently, then there is also a lottery. It has to be organized by the emperor. The purpose of the lottery is to gather everyone's love to help the place where the lottery was set up to do something. The specific method of the lottery is... Wang Wan began to talk about the lottery to the old man. When she talked about gathering everyone's love to risk their lives, she felt her face turn red. What love? Wasn't it just thinking of getting more money when they won the lottery? What was different from other things was that other gambling was private and had to be investigated and regulated, but this was the government and was legal and reasonable. Old man Pai didn't think so much. The more he listened to Wang Wan talk about the lottery, the more surprised he became. Of course, this couldn't be done in a national format, but it could be done in every state. The people who bought the lottery not only had to spend a little bit of money, but also had to remember their home address. Even if they lost the lottery, they could still get the money. As long as they won the lottery, the government would personally send the money to them. If their home address and household registration were wrong, it would be useless even if they came with the winning lottery. In this way, they didn't have to worry about not receiving the money. The only trouble was the time to open the lottery and redeem the prize. If one's home was far away, it would take more than 10 days, so there was no expiration date. As long as one bought the lottery, it would be counted. Moreover, the lottery would be sold every 2 days, and the lottery would also be opened every 2 days. After listening to Wang Wan talk about the lottery, Old Man Pai didn't immediately say whether it was good or not. Instead, he asked Old Man Chong next to him, "What do you think of this matter? If we really do this, the emperor will have more money to do things, and we don't have to worry about competing with the people for money. After all, this lottery is for the people. I think it's okay as long as the emperor agrees, but there should be a limit. For example, if a person wants to buy more than one lottery ticket, he can't be allowed to buy more. For example, each person can only buy 10 at a time, and they have to write down their household registration. If they buy more than that, they won't be sold. In this way, we don't have to worry about people selling their belongings to buy the lottery ticket. What do you think?" Old Man Chong also said. This method was indeed very good, but no one had thought of it before. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sighed in relief. As long as the people here did it, they didn't have to be afraid of strict supervision, especially with the emperor personally supervising. They thought that the people below wouldn't dare to cheat and let their relatives win the lottery. After all, this was a household registration. The most important thing was that with the lottery ticket as a distraction, the two people could continue to play the game. They couldn't think of 2 ways to make money in a row and not give any benefits in the end, right? Without the two of them saying anything, Old Man Pai also understood Wang Wan's thoughts. He said, "As for the game, your family can cooperate with the government. Don't interfere with the lottery ticket. I'll write a memorial to those people, and also to the emperor. You two can rest assured that I won't go on a business trip. You have to wait for Yao Zhou to succeed before you go elsewhere. Ask the emperor to restrict this matter, otherwise if others interfere, I'll leave it for your family." "Thank you, Grandpa Bai. When we make money, when we see that many people don't gamble anymore, we'll buy you something as a prize." Zhang Xiaobao almost told the truth, but he quickly changed his words. In fact, how could Bai Lao Tu not know that this matter could make money? He used to be a high-ranking official in the Ministry of Revenue, but the Zhang family was rich, so he didn't care about this small amount of money at all. So even if he took the money away at the last minute, when others wanted to exchange it, they could still exchange it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were relieved. Although they gave away another lottery ticket for free, the two of them were not depressed. There was no problem with the lottery ticket to the government, but there would be problems if it was given to them. They couldn't control the lottery ticket, because it involved too many things. Grandpa Bai must have thought that the money from the game wouldn't be too much, but he didn't think that if there was such a place in every county, how much money could be collected by the whole Tang Empire. In that case, it could be used at will. The more people join, the more stable the amount of money would be. Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao out and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao had the same thoughts as well. He said, "Actually, Grandpa Bai doesn't think that this matter will succeed completely. Furthermore, some people will change it on the same day they buy it. This is very normal. People now don't have such thoughts, but after a few years, some people will find it troublesome. They will be willing to keep their money in the place where they exchange chips." Zhang Xiaobao was right. In the beginning, there would definitely be people who would take back the money they won to exchange. Very few people would be willing to leave money in the exchange account. After all, it was money in their hands, and they would feel at ease. After a few years, when the Kaiyuan era was at its best and the people had adapted to this game, there would be people who would not be in such a hurry to withdraw money. At that time, it would be the time when the game would be most effective. After the two of them finished their business, they began to think about how to arrange for people to be in charge of various places. If the people they found had some ideas, it would be more troublesome. For example, this person privately used the money to lend money, etc. This was absolutely not allowed to happen. If they wanted to lend money, it had to be Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan themselves. Xiaobao, we really need to set up a bank. Although there are many times when people like to barter, after all, some people still have money in their hands. If we set up a bank, we can put money out. It is especially for people who do business or have new ideas. The profit can be less. Making money is secondary. The main thing is to cultivate some people. As long as they have ideas, we should support them. Maybe we can use such people in the future. Wang Wan thought about the bank at this time. She was not going to set up a bank everywhere at once. She mainly wanted to find a reasonable way to put out loans. In this way, as long as other people had good ideas, they could cultivate them. Anyway, they were already developing well now. It was also good for them to cultivate more people. Zhang Xiaobao listened to Wang Wan's words and fell into deep thought. This was really not easy to do. If they could only deposit money and put out money, they would lose some of the functions of a bank, such as foreign deposit and withdrawal, etc. If they set up a bank first, before they saw any disadvantages, others would see the benefits first and learn to do it. Wouldn't that be a mess? Thinking of these things, Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan, "Let's put the bank matter aside first. After all, it is easy to get into trouble now. Let's try a simple bank first. It is a place for people to exchange change and cash. When the time comes, we can slowly develop this into a bank. This way, we don't have to give money to animals first." Chapter 500. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan now had something to do, and that was to set up a bank. Originally, they should have set up a few pawn shops before setting up a bank. They had to do this bit by bit. However, the two of them didn't want to set up a pawn shop at this time. If they didn't want to set up a pawn shop, they had to deliberately make other people's things seem very cheap. This was a bit of a shock to the two of them. They weren't going to do that, so they could only set up a bank. The bank's function wasn't to give out loans, at least that wasn't the purpose. It was to help other people keep their money. At the same time, it was responsible for redeeming the change back and forth. However, at this time, it could be considered as having some pocket money. In the process of helping people keep their money, they could use the money to do other things. When people came to ask for it, they could give it to them. In other words, the more money they kept, the more stable the money they could take out when the time came. When the income and expenditure reached a certain level, it would be balanced. The people next to them didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy with. In any case, the two of them were always busy when they were idle. They always looked like they had endless work to do. If one looked carefully at Zhang Wang clan's stomach, they would find that it was a little bigger, but it wasn't that obvious. Zhang Zhong didn't have much to do now, so he stayed at home all day to accompany her. While they were busy, the fleet from Beijing finally arrived at their destination. The people on these ships were already here for the second time, so they weren't as worried as they were at the beginning. There were also some ships behind them. These ships were also big ships with sails on them. It was very difficult for them to follow behind the fleet. The Zhang family's fleet couldn't slow down to take care of them. They still went as fast as they could, especially when they encountered a headwind. The Yellow River Shipping Company's people behind them had to chase after them with all their might every time they were pulled apart. The only way was to use the oars. The rowers on the boat were exhausted. When they were on the Yellow River, they thought that their boat was the fastest boat. Now they realized that the boats with wheels on both sides and special sails were much faster than theirs. Especially since they had never seen what the sea was like. Being blown by the sea breeze and the waves made them very worried. They were afraid that their boat wouldn't be able to withstand the waves and would capsize. Fortunately, they finally persevered all the way. When they saw the dock in front of them, everyone standing on the deck cheered, as if they had conquered this place. The Zhang family's fleet didn't care about the boats behind them at all. When they stopped at the dock, they began to unload. This time, they brought a lot of things, which could be used for the local people's New Year. If they didn't hurry up, Zhang Zhong wouldn't be able to deliver things in time. The dock was big enough for the Zhang family's fleet to occupy all the docks. They didn't need to wait anymore. The Yellow River Shipping Company's people weren't in a hurry. They just wanted to take a good look at the situation here. Even the rowers below ran to the deck. There were many sceneries that they had never seen before. It was very novel, especially this big dock. They really didn't know what was used to build the dock. The cement had just been transported to the capital. Of course, the people outside didn't know about it. The emperor planned to use the cement to build something for himself first. When he felt that it was enough, he would use it to build the city wall and the streets of Chang'an. Many commoners were called over to help unload the things. They now knew that during the new year, the good officials would give them some things to let them have a good new year. A portion of these things were on the ship, so they all worked as if they didn't care about their lives. If it wasn't for someone stopping them in time, it would have been easy for a few people to die from exhaustion. After these ships finished unloading their goods, the Yellow River Shipping Company's ships also approached. They didn't find anyone to help them unload their goods. Instead, they brought their own people. They set up a gangplank and began to carry the leftovers of the fur. As soon as they were done, someone came over to collect the money. The Yellow River Shipping Company had sent 16 boats this time, which was all of their big boats. It was impossible to find such a big boat on the Yellow River. How could Zhang Xiaobao let 16 boats stop at the dock for nothing? They had to pay some money. It was not free to build the dock. They spent a lot of money. The person who came said to the people who got off the boat, 16 boats. According to the rules here, one boat costs 10 strings of money. You can pay first and then stop the boat. If you don't have money, you can write a receipt first and pay after the goods are sold. But at that time you have to pay more. How are you going to pay? Money. Why do we need to pay to stop the boat? I've never heard of such a thing. We didn't pay when we stopped the boat in Beijing. Why do you ask for money when we come here? The person who came down didn't carry anything. At first glance, it was obvious that he was in charge. When he heard someone ask for money, he was very unhappy. It seemed that he was not going to pay. The person in charge of the dock on the Zhang family's side didn't care about the other party's attitude. This money was a must. He said to the person, "When you are there, you can find a place to stop the boat, so generally, no one will ask you for money. Moreover, when you arrive at the dock, there will be people working there to pick you up. They will give some money to the dock. Many people are even hired by the dock. Also, you will eat there, and the shops on the dock will also get money. The most important thing is that the dock there is dedicated to welcoming guests from all over. You can go to some of the docks on the other side of the Yangtze River and see if they accept your money. Also, can the docks in other places compare to ours? We spent a lot of money to build this dock. That's not right. One boat is 10 strings of money. 16 boats is 160 strings of money. You are too good at making money. Make it cheaper. How about one boat is 10 strings of money? If that's the case, we will pay. If not, we will find a place where we can also stop the boat. At most, we will take out a small boat and transport it to the shore bit by bit. The person in charge of the Yellow River Shipping Company still wanted to negotiate the price, so he directly reduced it to 10%. He thought that as long as he said that he would not stop at the dock, the other party would be afraid of him. Unfortunately, he met the Zhang family. The Zhang family really didn't care about his little money. He shook his head and said, "No, it's 10 strings of money. If you want to stop, stop here. If you don't want to stop, then do as you please. In the future, when a boat comes, we will ask first. We won't let you occupy this place like this. Stop somewhere else. When there is a strong wind or something, if you want to come again, the money will have to be doubled." Do you really want to charge so much money? Okay, then we will stop on the water outside and use a small boat to transport it bit by bit. I don't believe that we can't transport it. We came here specifically to help you. When the time comes, don't think that you can get any goods from us. If you don't want to sell it, you can sell it to other places at a higher price. How about it? Consider it. Do you want to stop? The person in charge of the Yellow River Shipping Company still didn't want to give up. If the boat was stopped at the dock, it would be much more stable. If it was stopped at other places, he would always feel worried. Yes, One boat is 10 strings of money. The Zhang family still insisted. In fact, 10 strings of money was not a lot for the entire Yellow River Shipping Company. Compared to other places, it was much more. No matter what, they would not accept it. Otherwise, they would have to take out 160 strings of money. How many things could 160 strings of money buy? Just thinking about it made their hearts ache. Having reached this point, the two of them were not willing to compromise. The people who came down once again boarded the ship. The ship slowly left the dock until it passed the perimeter of the dock. The anchor was cast down to fix the ship, and a few small boats were released. The large ship continued to deliver goods to the shore, one small boat after another. At this time, the Zhang family did not say anything more. If they really wanted to make things difficult for the other party, it would be easy to tell them that as long as they came up, they would have to pay. However, this matter could not be done. The Zhang family's dock was really 10 strings of money for a big boat. Because it was built well, small boats were much cheaper. The Zhang family did not make things difficult for the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company, but the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company did not think so. This time, when the people who came over heard the words of the person in charge who went down just now, they were all very angry. They really felt that the people here were bullying them. Humph! Isn't it just stopping the boat? They actually want so much money. Fine, after we ship the goods up, we will not sell them and make them jealous. The son of the owner of the Yellow River Shipping Company's big boat company stood on the deck and said angrily. The others nodded one after another, agreeing with the son's words. There were 16 boats. Because they had to use small boats to send the goods down bit by bit, it took a lot of time. Until the sky turned dark, they still had not transferred all the goods. The people on the boat ate while complaining about the attitude of the people here. They did not know what the person from the Zhang family said just now. It was all the thoughts of the person in charge who came back. Because of this, the owners of the various ships didn't intend to be nice to the people here. Each and every one of them was talking about selling the leftovers of these furs from other places. They still believed that these things would be worth a lot of money. Who knew that there was not a lack of fur here, especially with the Sherwan Mountains behind. This was also something that Zhang Xiaobao did not consider when he came here, so he made the fur into sofas and some furniture. Otherwise, how could it be like this? At night, the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company were still working hard to transport the goods. When they were on the boat, they did not dare to casually light the torches. This was fur, and it was really easy to start a fire. They could only make some torches on the shore to light up the boat. At the same time, there were also some owners who came ashore under the protection of the guards. They happened to meet some local people. These people were actually here to fish for prawns at night. They were all children, so that they could sell the prawns to subsidize their families. Among the owners of the Yellow River Boat Line, a man surnamed Sun saw the kids swimming to a reef. He curiously stopped a kid who hadn't gone over yet and asked him, "What are you doing here? Where did you get the clothes on you? How much is it? Is your family wealthier than mine? Also, how many people here can't wear clothes?" The child who was stopped looked at this person and was a little confused. He didn't know why this person was asking so many questions. However, looking at the expression on this person's face, he didn't seem to be so evil. He answered, "I got these clothes by working, and so did the other people's clothes. I don't know how much they cost, as no one sells them here. My family isn't rich, but I can still have some spare money to spare after I eat. The people here have clothes to wear, and the fabric is similar to mine. No one can't wear clothes, and everyone's family is like mine. They have a small building to live in and a little spare money." What the child said was true, but it was different in the ears of the people around him. When they came here, they had already asked people and knew that the people here lived very hard lives. Especially when they passed by several other states, they saw the people who worked at the seaside. Some of them did not even have a piece of clothing, and were naked from top to bottom. Now, this child actually said that everyone had clothes to wear, and everyone had spare money. How was this possible? The owner surnamed Sun naturally thought so. He looked at the child in front of him and said, "Child, it's not good to lie. Come, tell me the truth, and I will give you candy." As he spoke, he put his hand into his sleeve. In fact, there was no candy in his sleeve at all. They didn't bring any candy this time. However, he was going to take out 2 copper coins to buy candy for the child. It was the same. In his opinion, the child should change his words, but he did not expect the child to still insist and say, "I didn't lie to you. It's like this. When you came here, did you see that other people were not like this and think that we have a very bad life? In fact, our life is very good because we have a good official. We don't lack anything. Forget it. If you don't believe me, go and ask others. I'm going over." After the child finished speaking, he directly took off his clothes and jumped into the water. After a while, he swam to the reef. It was not easy to fish for prawns on the reef. If one was not careful, the hook would be caught. When that time came, the line would be broken. These people on the shore were still thinking about the child's words. Even if they did not believe it, at this time, they had to choose to believe it once. Just once, they would send people to other places to check. Was that Zhong Zhong really as powerful as others said? In such a short time, he actually made the people here live a good life and let them live a happy life? At this time, one of the owners said to Sun Dongjia, "I don't understand now. If these children's lives are really so good, why do they still come out at night to fish for prawns? How much can these prawns be sold for? Anyway, the prawns on the other side of the Yellow River can't be sold at a high price. If they don't live a good life, look at those children's clothes. They are wearing new clothes. Aren't they afraid that these clothes will be accidentally damaged on the reef? Who would be willing to do that? So, I guess these children were deliberately sent here by someone with bad intentions. They sent us here so that we can't see the depth of this place. They want to buy the fur we brought here at a low price. Do you think so?" After hearing what he said, the others also felt that it was reasonable and nodded one after another. Even Boss Sun was like this, but he still couldn't be so sure. He said to this person, "If it's really like what the child said, then it's good. At least we can sell these things. Selling to the rich is better than selling to the poor, right? Okay, now let's immediately send people to other places to check, especially the places where there are people living. Remember, don't split up. Each team needs 5 people. Hold a torch. If there is any danger, run back quickly. What if the people here are very poor? It won't be good if they rob my people. Go quickly and come back quickly. Don't go too far. Just go and take a look." With his words, the people who were tired from working split up and began to take torches to other places to check. In this way, the owners wouldn't wander around. If they encountered any danger, who knew if there was anyone here who could save them? After waiting for these people to leave, Sun Dongjia said to the other owners, "When you do things here, you must be careful, especially that Zhong Zhong. If you meet him, try to be polite. Otherwise, he will easily find a reason to make you stay here. This dock is his family's. Look at those ships. If they want to make us stay, we can't outrun them at all. If we can't outrun them at sea, it's even more useless on land. They are more familiar with this place than we are. Besides, when we came here, we didn't bring any horses. Remember, once you meet the Zhong family, try not to offend them. A little impatience will spoil the big plan." His words were very sincere, but not all of these owners thought the same. They thought more about how they came here to help Zhong Zhong. Without the goods on their ships, Zhong Zhong's side would be very difficult. It was this thought that had always existed in their hearts. Zhong Zhong didn't know what others were thinking when they came here. He still didn't know how many ships came here. He had a lot of things to do. After the things on the ships were taken down, he had to send these things to the local people and let them have a good new year. Regardless of whether it was night or not, Zhong Zhong sat in the car and swayed towards the farthest county. It would take him a few days to walk, and this was under the condition that the car was moving at a very fast speed. Behind the car he was sitting in was a long line. These lines were all trucks that were transporting goods, and on them were things that Zhong Zhong wanted to send to others. Along the way, They would occasionally meet a few people who were rushing through the night. When these people saw Zhang Zhong's car, they would always stop and respectfully greet him. At the same time, they also waited for Zhang Zhong to send them things. They had already heard that there were a lot of things this year that would allow them to eat and drink well during the new year until the 15th. As for what these things were, they didn't know. Each and every one of them could only imagine and guess. Zhang Zhong didn't lack the time to greet people. Whenever he met someone, he would say a few words with a kind smile. Along the way, the sky was getting darker and darker. Zhang Zhong unknowingly fell asleep. The owners of the docks were still waiting. They wanted to know what this place was like. Before long, someone came back from the docks. When he arrived, he said to everyone, "I found them. The people here have big houses and big courtyards. Those houses are very beautiful. When I passed by, I heard the sound of a duck. I went to the back to take a look. I saw a lot of pigs being raised by them. Each one of them looked very good. But now is not the time to kill them for meat. I reckon that summer will be enough." Occasionally, people who couldn't sleep would sit outside and chat. I went to take a look. They were wearing very good clothes. That's all. Oh, there's one more thing. They didn't build their houses directly on the ground. Instead, they built them on the ground. I don't know why they did that. Anyway, I don't understand. When this person was talking, he seemed very excited. He had a reason to be excited. What he heard and saw along the way was that the people by the seaside lived a very hard life. He didn't expect that this Luzhou was different from other places. He was excited, but the bosses were shocked. If they didn't know that this person wouldn't lie to them, they would really think that this person was lying. How was that possible? They passed by Lianzhou on their way here, and they were very clear about the situation there. Why was there such a big gap between the two neighboring states? This question was worth pondering. Sun Dongjia looked at the people around him and said, "Now you know. Zhang Zhong is very capable. Don't underestimate him. Otherwise, the ones who will suffer in the end will be us. If we can avoid offending him, we will not offend him. Even if he asks for these goods from us, as long as we can get on his good side, I am willing. As for what you think, I don't care. If something happens, don't blame me for not warning you in advance." Chapter 501. There was a vast sea route, and no one knew where the clouds were. The breeze blew the drizzle, and the huge waves fell on the reef. The evening moon ebbed, and the morning sun rose from the horizon. A rainbow crossed several shores, and soared among the gulls and herons. The owners of the Yellow River Shipping Company didn't sleep well all night. When they woke up in the morning, they saw an amazing picture scroll. The sun was drizzling gently. They had seen many sceneries on the way here by boat, but compared to those sceneries, it was definitely not as shocking as the one in front of them. It was drizzling here, and there was a rainbow whose route was unknown over there. The moon that hadn't disappeared yet was about to fall into the sea. The seabirds that rose early in the morning shuttled back and forth in the rain and fog. The foam brought by the waves hitting the beach seemed to be endless. The carriages transporting goods for the people who were still working gradually disappeared from sight. The children who didn't have to do anything for the time being gathered together, humming a tune that the masters couldn't hear, and jumping with fishing poles and prawn cages, they ran to the shore. It was impossible to overlap with a place that had suffered a disaster not too long ago. How could it be the land of exile that many people talked about? It was clearly a paradise. No, it was even more shocking than a paradise. Last night, they received some news. That was, not only could the people have houses to live in, there were also many schools, and even a place called a nursing home. It could be said that the farmers had their own fields, the residents had their own houses, the elderly had their own care, and the children had their own education. There was nothing that couldn't be done here. It's prosperous. Zhang Zhong and the Zhang family of Sanshui are really capable. They deserve to be the people who pushed Zhongxian to Shangxian and combined several counties into a province. No wonder the imperial court is so ambiguous to the Zhang family. All the impeachment memorials against Zhang Zhong were suppressed. The Zhang family can stabilize this area. I've decided. Today, I'll ask to see Zhang Zhong. What's wrong with giving the goods I brought to him for free? Sun Dongjia stood alone at the bow of the ship, looking at the scenery in front of him and the brightly colored clothes on the children as he muttered to himself. As the biggest force in the Yellow River Shipping Company, he also had his own sources of information. He knew how many people didn't like the Zhang family and used all kinds of channels to impeach Zhang Zhong. From time to time, someone would send a report, but these reports were like a stone sinking into the sea, without the slightest ripple. People who were impeached in court would immediately change the topic. The emperor simply ignored them. When the impeachment report reached the secretariat, there was no news. Anyone with a bit of foresight was protecting the Zhang family, protecting Zhang Zhong, this ridiculously young fourth-rank top scorer. Lian province was also affected by the disaster. However, Pan province and Lei province were not affected by the disaster. Throughout their journey, they had never seen anything like Lu Zhou. How did Zhang Zhong do this? Looking at those children, each and every one of them had rosy cheeks and chubby little arms. One could tell how their lives were like. If this continued, it seemed that Lu Zhou would not be considered to be sent to Lingnan in the future. Otherwise, those who were sent to Lingnan would be overjoyed. Whoever was sent to this place would enjoy a good life. There were wide roads, fields, boats out at sea, and trees and flowers on both sides of the roads. The breeze was gentle, the waves were gentle, the sand was warm, the sound of birds chirping, the sun was setting, the fishing boats were singing, the smoke was rising in spirals, the children were playing happily, and the sound of conches was heard. What land of exile! It was clearly a paradise on earth. It was a waste of talent. If Zhang Zhong was a little older, he would not be just a provincial governor. Who asked him to be so young? In less than a year, he had endured the disaster and built the desolate land into such a prosperous place. What if there was no disaster? What if he was given more time? With this ability, it was no wonder that so many people were jealous of him. It was also no wonder that so many people wanted to protect him. If he had subordinates who could do this, he would also send them out to do the most difficult things. Unfortunately, if his subordinates had such ability, they would not stay under him. Sun Dongjia stood at the bow of the boat and sighed with emotion. Someone who had also woken up came over and stood beside Sun Dongjia. He looked at the children and said, "They are really bold. Aren't they afraid that we will catch them?" Sun Dongjia sneered. "Catch them? Why don't you try? Someone will take over your ship company. Have you arranged the next person?" The person who spoke was also the owner of a ship company. Together, they were called the Yellow River Shipping Company. Usually, they had their own ship companies. After all, the Yellow River was too big and too long. No ship company dared to say that they controlled all of it. Does Zhang Zhong dare to make a move? My ship company pays more than 1,000 strings of coins a year in tax. Will the imperial court not care? It is easy to deal with me, but if one of them is dealt with, we agreed that the other ship companies on the Yellow River will help. Then the imperial court will lose more than just 1,000 strings of coins. The person who came later was still a little unconvinced. He thought that if the entire ship company worked together, they would be able to firmly suppress Zhang Zhong. Sun Dongjia still looked at the children playing and said, "Catch one and see. If you have the ability, kill one. For example, throw him off the boat and say that he wanted to let the children on the boat to play and accidentally fell to his death. See if Zhang Zhong will let you go back alive. It just so happens that we can test Zhang Zhong's bottom line. Is he going to take my life for the sake of an ordinary child? I don't believe it." The person's voice became louder. "That's because you don't know how much Zhang Zhong likes the children. Or rather, his family and the people behind him like the children. Your information collection is too poor. Don't you know about the hospital in Huayuan County?" "What's the hospital?" "Actually, it's nothing. If the children are sick, they don't have to wait in line. They can go through another passage. The other passage is open 24 hours a day. The 4 doctors take turns to see the patients. The doctors and apprentices are not allowed to touch them. They can only watch. The children don't have to pay for the consultation or medicine. If they need to stay there for treatment, they don't have to pay for their meals. There are fruits all year round. Then who built the hospital? Who has the final say? From this, you can see the Zhang family's attitude towards the children. Look at the children's clothes. The younger the child is, the better the material and the more beautiful it is. Take a closer look. The youngest girl was only 2 years old. What was she wearing on her head? The hair clip sold by the Zhang family is not made of ordinary stones. It's made of jade, Lantian jade. The Zhang family and Wang family's roots are in the production area. Where do you think the jade came from? Why is this hair clip on the children's heads? They haven't swum to the reef yet. Look around the boat and see if there's a rock that can hold the boat down. Throw a small piece over there. If you hit someone, we'll know what the consequences are. Sun Dongjia did not believe that these people on the boat would dare to touch Lu Zhou's children. He deliberately provoked the owner. He only knew that Zhang Zhong or the Zhang family liked the children. He did not know that the one who liked the children was the young master of the Zhang family, Zhang Xiaobao. If someone really beat the children to death, not to mention the person who did it, even the people on the boat would not be spared. When Zhang Xiaobao dealt with them, he would ask, "Why didn't you stop me when you were on the boat? If you didn't stop me, you would be an accomplice. If you can do it to the children, why can't I do it to the adults?" Haha, I'm just kidding. How can you beat such cute children? You can't even catch them. It's better to give them something good to eat. What are they doing? Aren't they going to swim over? The owner of the boat explained while waving his hand. He was afraid that someone would tell the Zhang family about this. What if they thought that he had such an idea? He happened to see a few older children surrounding the girl that Sun Dongjia mentioned just now. They were blowing something hard. So, he changed the topic and asked. Sun Dongjia didn't know what it meant. He could only watch as the children surrounded by them giggled. Curious, he waited motionlessly, wanting to see what these children were going to do. It did not take long for those older children to blow up the things in their hands. They tied them up with a rope and put it on the children. Then, they took the children into the water and swam toward the reef. Oh, it's just a pig blowing bubble or some animal blowing bubble. They are not stupid. They are afraid that they can't take care of the children. Once they put it on, they won't be afraid of sinking. The owner said with disdain. In fact, he was thinking of getting more pigs to blow bubbles in the future. That way, they would not have to worry about falling into the water, especially when there was a storm. Although everyone here knew how to swim, they would not be able to summon their qi if there was a storm. What Sun Dongjia saw was something else. This is not a matter of blowing bubbles. It is the relationship between the local people. For a child to be able to do such a thing, it is usually taught by the adults. They cannot be a family. For them to be able to say such things, it is the elder brothers and sisters who take care of the younger sister. In other words, if one offended a commoner in this place, they would offend all the commoners in Lu Zhou. If one of the 10,000 commoners took a piece of flesh from one's body, one would be reduced to a skeleton. When Lu Zhou first learned about this place, there were mountain tribesmen and small tribes. They were unfamiliar with each other and were wary of each other. Now that Lu Zhou saw a child blowing bubbles, it was obvious that he was a mountain tribesman. This means that after Zhang Zhong came here, the mountain people can live well with the local people. When all the people are working hard for one thing, that's the scariest moment. At this moment, a few boat owners came from behind the two of them. When they saw the group of children swimming in the sea, they did not know what to say. At the same time, they no longer had the special sense of superiority that they had in this place. They finally understood. When they came here, they thought that this place would be poor and that a little thing would be able to move the people here. However, they did not expect, or were unwilling to think, that the provincial governor of this place was not any less knowledgeable than them. In fact, in terms of knowledge, he was more knowledgeable than them. With such a person in charge, even the people from the capital could not show any superiority, let alone the people from the Yellow River. Whether it was knowledge, identity, status, or wealth, they could not compare with Zhang Zhong, the provincial governor. They should do their job honestly. Otherwise, it would be easy for the local people to dislike them. Not to mention the merchants from the Yellow River, even the officials from the capital could not do anything about it. The local people did not care whether they were from the capital or not. They only knew that Lu Zhou was the provincial governor. Zhang Zhong knew about the situation in the capital, but would Zhang Zhong think highly of them just because they were lucky enough to pass by the capital? Dream on. He could have been an official in the capital, but he did not. Did he really care about the people from the capital? The owners of the Yellow River boat line had come with a sense of superiority when they knew about the capital city. However, when they arrived, they suddenly found that their sense of superiority had been torn to pieces by the other party. The children did not know what the people on the ships were thinking, and they did not care about the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company. They just played as they should as long as they paid attention to their own safety. How could the people who lived by the sea not know how to swim? Especially when there were two rivers and those tributary rivers, the children would jump into the water and swim for a while when they had nothing to do. If it were not for the fact that the waves were too strong, even a 2-year-old girl who was protected could swim over by herself. Now, all of Lu Zhou's citizens had to learn how to swim. They had to swim as well as they could so that they could last as long as possible. This was to prevent another flood from happening. The children did not think too much about other things. They just wanted to get some fish and prawns to exchange for some pocket money and buy something they liked, such as the cloth dolls. These cute dolls that were about the same height as them were sold at a very low price. They only needed to pay 15 copper coins to get one. The girls liked them the most, including the 2-year-old girl. Even if she could not speak clearly, when she saw those cloth dolls, she hoped to get one. She used her limited vocabulary to express her wish to the other big brothers and big sisters. Therefore, these children wanted to satisfy the little sister's needs first. They only wanted to achieve their goal, and they did not know how many people were worried about them. From the moment they entered the water, the people at the dock had been watching them. They were all very good swimmers. As long as they saw the children in a drowning posture, they would immediately come to the rescue. Among them, there were even 4 members of the vigorous seedling protection team who were guarding here. Only now did they know that the so-called vigorous seedling protection team was not protecting the rice seedlings in the field at all, but protecting the children. When the children were doing their own things, they would only watch from the side. Only when there was danger would they come to the rescue. Many people did not understand this kind of thinking. Why didn't they just protect the children when they were playing? Why did they only come to the rescue when there was danger? It was like boiling hot water. Although they knew that the children might be scalded, they did not stop them. Instead, they let the children try. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that children could not always be placed in the cradle. If that was really the case, it would be like what happened more than 100 years ago, which made people look down on China. Both of them learned about what happened more than 100 years ago from their own channels. That was the competition between the children of Japan and China on the grassland. It was survival in the wild. At that time, China sent out all the children of high-ranking officials and rich businessmen, but the result was a crushing defeat. Those people could do other things, but they were definitely not suitable for survival in the wild. According to Zhang Xiaobao, if some children from the orphanage were sent out at that time, they could let the Japanese know what it meant to be strong. Even if they sent out children from the countryside, it would be the same. In a competition on the grassland, they sent out the children of the herdsmen. Why would they still need to carry backpacks and bring food? Therefore, the two of them did not want to raise some children who could not do anything. They planned to cultivate the children's independence, self-improvement, and self-esteem from a young age. They would let the children fight for themselves and understand the society. The adults would only hide and watch. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also learned about the arrival of the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company. The two of them did not care about these ships at all. It was really whimsical to think that they would do fur trading here. The two of them were now thinking about the attitude of the Yellow River Shipping Company. If the attitude of the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company was better, then Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan decided to let them suffer a big loss. Then, They would come up with a cooperation plan when they were depressed. If their attitude was not good, then they would let them taste some benefits first. The final result was naturally needless to say. Xiao Bao, what can we cooperate with the Yellow River Shipping Company? Even without them, we can still take over the transportation on the other side of the Yellow River. Wang Wan still did not know what kind of cooperation they could have with the Yellow River Shipping Company. It seemed that they did not need the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company, especially since they had already bought a lot of ships there. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan and said helplessly, "You really should have interned in some business groups when you entered the Special Second Department. Your family should have that kind of business, right? The Yellow River Shipping Company is not important. What is important is the estuary of the Yellow River. What is that place? How many countries are there? We can't jump from one place to another all of a sudden. We don't want to go there next. If there was no Yellow River Shipping Company, then we would have wasted a lot of time. We will slowly grow up. Some things can be skipped at once, but some things need to be done step by step. Since we don't have so much energy to care about the estuary, why not let others go there? The country does not belong to the two of us. If we can let others go there, then we should let them get some benefits. The estuary of the Yellow River is our next step. Now, we just need to take over Qinzhou Bay. That's it. When the time comes, as long as the other coastal areas are not idiots, they can learn from us and develop bit by bit." "Oh, I know that too. Your plans are too perfect, making people forget a lot of things. On one hand, you say that this country isn't yours, but on the other hand, you're constantly influencing this country. Do you think I'm to blame for this?" Wang Wan was clearly in the wrong, but she still wanted to argue. If it was in the past, she would definitely not do this. Who asked Zhang Xiaobao to follow one plan after another? She couldn't help but rely on him. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan and knew what was going on. He immediately said, "Let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about the construction here. Especially after the new year, what should we do? Should we let the people have their own fields, or should we let them do things together like now?" Wang Wan was just saying. She couldn't blame others for her mistakes. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's question, she thought for a moment and said, "You'll be in charge of this. If you can let the people still do things according to your ideas after your father leaves, then continue to work together. If you think that the new officials will affect your ideas, then naturally, you have to understand the people's fields now. At this time, the disaster is over, and the people don't have any other ideas. Besides, your father is here. No matter what the decision is, the people won't oppose it. I don't care about this. I need to train soldiers. Now, there are more than 36,000 people. I need to train at least 4,000 soldiers. Originally, in this era, we didn't send troops overseas. We only sent troops to Japan for a period of time, but who asked you to come here? It's fine if you come here. You can just stay here. Everything is fine, but you have to go to other places to get some things. It's easy to just get food crops, but you still want to go to other places to get minerals. How can there not be conflicts? If there is a conflict, can the operation of the economy be solved? In the case of military force, it is like this. However, some people always want to challenge some bottom lines. How can it be done without an army? I'm helping you to plunder the economy. Thank me. No, I've decided to give up. I won't go to other places to get things. If you want to train the army, then say your own things. Why do you still want to help me? I didn't graduate from military command. I can't care so much. Zhang Xiaobao quickly denied. He looked at Wang Wan and felt that she had learned bad things. How could she know that this should be a political calculation? This is not good, not good. Wang Wan laughed. Xiaobao, you have to be gentlemanly. You learned so many things in prison. How can you not know military command? No, I really don't. That kind of person won't be locked in the prison I can go to. What I learned is the worst. It's easy to change identities. If you want to enter a prison with so many soldiers, you don't even need to think about it. I learned shooting training when I went abroad. I didn't learn anything about military command from them. At that time, I thought that those things were too far away for me. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't learn any military command knowledge in the prison he went to. He only learned some simple fighting skills from a few retired soldiers. He was far from those who really knew how to fight. He had never met special forces in those prisons. Well, even if it's for me, will you support me? You can't let me stay by your side like a secretary, right? Seeing Zhang Xiaobao deny, Wang Wan said another reason. I support you. You can do whatever you want, but you have to think about it. You are still young. Don't expose your identity. It's best to teach others and let others fulfill your ideas. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have the slightest resistance in this aspect. He didn't know about other women, but for Wang Wan, letting her always do a kind of work that she was not suitable for was a kind of suppression to her. Zhang Xiaobao never thought of suppressing Wang Wan. The two people complemented each other. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao was still the original Zhang Xiaobao. He didn't change because of some of the environment here. She was very happy and said, "Don't worry, it won't cause any trouble. Huzi and the others are almost done learning now. When the time comes, let them stand at the front." The two people reached an agreement after a while of bickering. Wang Wan finally began to really play to her strengths. Although there were many different methods of war at that time, these methods were not directly derived. They were things that evolved bit by bit according to ancient war. Even if the equipment was different, some of the ideas of war were still the same. This was the so-called "no change is far from the center." After she came here, she also worked hard to learn the war methods here. With many years of experience and her willingness to learn, she had already learned some things about war here. She didn't directly deny those military formations. No matter when, there would always be formations. Even the war she fought at that time was nothing more than a change in the formation. It was more complex and more diverse. Even the Special Forces assault was similar to some of the assault teams in the war here. Airplanes had their formations, tanks had their formations, and warships had their formations. It was just that the carriers were different, so the formations were different. Then, the current formations could also be adjusted with her knowledge. Moreover, the current formations were easier to understand. Compared to what she learned at that time, Wang Wan was absolutely sure that the changes in formations here were too simple. This was based on the weapons. There were too few types of weapons in use now. When commanding, one only needed to know the advantages and disadvantages of a certain type of weapon. It was much worse than what she learned at that time. When she learned it, the cooperation between different types of soldiers could tire people to death. Now, there was no need for that. She could just do what she needed. At this time, what she needed to do was to cultivate the discipline of the soldiers, their physical strength, and so on. Once done, they could become a powerful army. In terms of various terrains, she specially designed new formations, such as the Mandarin duck formation that would appear in the future and so on. Now that everything was in place, all she had to do was wait for the soldiers she could train. Based on the ratio of population, she had about 1/10 of them. Of course, this ratio was not fixed. She could not say that if there were 100,000 people here, she would have 10,000 soldiers. Then, if the Great Tang had 1 billion people, would she have 100 million soldiers? Obviously, that was not possible. Let's do it during the Spring Festival. After the Spring Festival, you can start conscripting soldiers. Now is not the time to use your own money to buy soldiers. Even if there are people in some places who do this, we should still use the current method to transfer soldiers. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan's eager expression and said, "Yes, I think so too. But in terms of the actual operation, you can use a different method. Normally, the equipment for my soldiers here is provided by the provincial government, and the equipment for the provincial government is provided by the imperial court. Then, the imperial court can provide less equipment, and I don't know when the equipment will be shipped over. Then, it will be provided by the provincial government. Does your father have equipment?" With the small number of people here, he didn't even assign any military officers. It would be strange if he could find equipment. You will pay for the weapons and armor. I will find someone to secretly make them. You will also be in charge of the uniforms and food. Enough. You don't need to say any more. I understand. As long as it's related to the army, I will take care of it, including the money for pension. You can train less, 4,000. At most, 4,000. The others still need to be involved in construction. If you send too many people, I won't be able to do anything. Zhang Xiaobao didn't wait for Wang Wan to finish speaking before he understood what she meant. This was no different from what the Tang Dynasty did in the past few years. When the imperial court couldn't afford to raise an army, the last few Jidushi would have to raise them themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so quick to rebel. Wang Wan also knew that Zhang Xiaobao didn't lack the money to raise soldiers. What he lacked was manpower. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's restrictions, she nodded and said, "Okay, I will listen to you in this aspect. I will not recruit more than 4,000 soldiers from my province. But we have to say that the army is the army. If there is a disaster here, we can mobilize, but we don't care about farming." You don't need to care. You can slowly complete your idea. I hope you can understand the law of war here. Sometimes, the quality of a general is very important. For example, when it comes to a one-on-one battle, don't let such a person not appear. Wait, what did you say just now? Not recruit from your province? Don't tell me you want to recruit from other provinces? Zhang Xiaobao agreed. But as he spoke, he thought of the meaning in Wang Wan's words. It didn't seem to be that simple. Wang Wan chuckled and said, "You heard wrong. Don't worry, I won't recruit people from the surrounding provinces. It's not easy for them either. 4,000 people are enough for me. Yes, that's enough. No matter what the situation on the battlefield is, no matter how many people participate in the battle, 4,000 people are enough to change something at a critical time." Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to care too much about Wang Wan's matters. After all, the two of them were no longer children. Both of them needed to have their own careers. In addition to this military method, Wang Wan also had a side business, which was to make some clothes and other things, including cosmetics that would appear in the future. When Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao reached an agreement, she finally changed from her previous steadiness and rushed out of the room happily, shouting loudly. Zhang Xiaobao sat on a chair and listened to Wang Wan's voice outside. He shook his head helplessly. He really doubted whether Wang Wan could manage an army well. According to Wang Wan's rank when she graduated from the military academy, it seemed that she couldn't manage so many people. It was very likely that she would be a minor officer with a deputy position. But since she had agreed, then let her try. She would be better than some of the current generals here, especially in terms of tactics. At that time, she had studied tactics for many years. While everyone else had things to do, Chao Harue and the other two also found things to do. The three of them were still shouldering the mission of the Tang, governor of Ning. They thought about it for a while and discussed it together several times. In the end, they finally decided to give up on the idea of using others to scout for information. The people sent by Zhang Zhong were already monitoring the surroundings of their house. They thought that the people in their house should also be in the same situation. At this time, if they wanted to get useful information, they would only send one person out, and that person would be caught. There was no need to rely on luck at all. In the end, the three of them discussed and came up with a solution. The three of them took the initiative to look for Zhang Zhong, hoping that he could arrange for them to do something. Then, they would slowly infiltrate here until there was hope that they could get the cement recipe. The first one to look for Zhang Zhong was Chao Harue. He was in charge of probing to see if it would work. Zhang Zhong was still busy with the new year. Chao Harue chased after him on his horse. When Zhang Zhong arrived at a county, he saw him. Seeing that Zhang Zhong was there directing people to move things down one by one, Chao Harue was not in a hurry. He just watched from the side and waited for Zhang Zhong to finish his work. Then he came closer and said with a smile, "Lord Zhang, I'm here to see if there's anything I can do. After all, I can already do something. Now that I've changed, I want to help the local people do something practical. I don't know if Sir can give me such a chance. Chow Harue's words were very sincere. If an ordinary person didn't understand, they would really be deceived by him. Zhang Zhong actually didn't understand him very well, but this had no effect on how he did things. At home, his son and daughter-in-law had already mentioned several methods that Chow Harue would take. At this time, when he heard Chow Harue's words, Zhang Zhong immediately thought of a possibility, so he said to Chow Harue according to what they discussed at that time, "Oh, Magistrate Chow, have you thought it through? You know what to do." "Yes, I've thought it through. I was wrong in the past. I shouldn't have put the people in such a low position. I've decided now. I'll do more for the people and make their lives better. I hope you'll grant me my wish." When Chow Harue heard Zhang Zhong's words, his heart became happy. It seemed that there was a door. As long as there was something to do, he would be able to gain Zhang Zhong's trust little by little. Zhang Zhong's expression was still the same. There was a trace of doubt in his eyes. He hesitated and said, "In that case, I'll give you something to do. Do you know that it's almost the new year?" I know. Rest assured, sir, as long as you give this matter to me, I'll do it well." When Chow Harue heard Zhang Zhong mention the new year, he immediately stopped worrying. Wasn't it just organizing the new year? It was simple, so he quickly agreed. "Good, since you have this determination, then I'll give it to you. The new year is simple. The main thing is that after the new year, it's time to plant some things. You'll be responsible for planting things? Okay, I can do this well." Chow Harue realized that Ran Bachien didn't want him to organize the new year. Planting things was also fine. When the time came, he just had to stay by the field and didn't need to do anything. Zhang Zhong shook his head. "It's not farming. There will be people in charge of farming. That's before farming. In this field, if there is no fertilizer, then good things won't grow. You'll be responsible for fertilizing. Get some feces from various places, whether it's human or animal, and then put it in the field. Also, remember to ferment some of the stalks. If you put them in directly, it's easy to burn the seeds or seedlings. That's it. I believe you can do it well. Are there any other questions?" No, sir, rest assured, I will definitely do this matter well. I'll organize people to arrange it." Chow Harue stuttered. He didn't expect that in the end, he would be assigned such a job. When he thought about dealing with feces all day during the new year, he felt very uncomfortable in his stomach and wanted to vomit. Zhang Zhong didn't care about what Chow Harue thought and continued, "Composting is not as simple as you think. Have you never composted in this place before? Don't worry, I'll send someone from my family to teach you. You have to learn carefully. First of all, you have to learn how to manage others better. When the time comes, the smell may be a little bad. Just bear with it. I hope that at that time, you can stand at the front. Don't be afraid of hardship and don't be afraid of fatigue. The smell of feces is a little bad, but it's essential for growing crops. You have to pay attention to it. Can you do it?" "Yes, if others can do it, then I can do it. I'll do it better than others." "Sir, don't worry, leave the feces matter to me. I don't feel uncomfortable at all. I don't feel uncomfortable." Chow Harue's eyes were red because of his retching, but he still insisted. "Well, then I'm relieved. After the new year, I'll naturally look for you. If others can be like you, then it'll be good." Zhang Zhong laughed and said to Chow Harue. He had thought of this method a long time ago. He just wanted to see how these people would do. Chow Harue wanted to die now. He really didn't know what to say. Was it so easy to make feces? He would be suffocated to death. Especially Zhang Zhong, he had to learn from others. He really didn't know how to endure this. As long as he thought about feces, he had a feeling of wanting to vomit. Seeing that Zhang Zhong was going to continue to the next place, he quickly said, "Sir, I have one more thing to say. In fact, I'm not the only one who is willing to do this. Fan Jianxi and Jiang Huanshi also have the same idea. I don't know if you can give the two of them a chance and let them follow me to contribute to the farming." When Chow Harue said this, he thought in his heart, "Brothers, I'm sorry, I can't always be the only one who has bad luck, right? There has to be someone to accompany me." Zhang Zhong laughed secretly, nodded to Chow Harue and said, "This. They didn't come to me, so I naturally can't ask them to do things directly. It's better to wait for them to have the same idea as you, then let them come. What do you think?" "Okay, sir, then I'll go back." "Sir, don't worry. In fact, the two of them had this idea a few days ago. As long as I tell them about it, they will agree." "Sir, I'll take my leave first." Chow Harue's purpose was finally achieved. He happily said to Zhang Zhong and was about to leave. Chapter 502. The night was cold, the sea of stars was calm, and the crescent moon hung high in the sky. It was the 29th of December, one day before the new year, but many people were destined to be unable to sleep tonight. The people of Luzhou were waiting for the last day of the new year to arrive. They were looking forward to it, but they were also a little nervous. This new year was different from the past. The people had a new home and a new life. They hoped that the new year would come soon. At that time, they would have to say goodbye to some things and welcome some new things. The people of the Yellow River Shipping Company had not seen Zhang Zhong yet, but they were not in a hurry. Everything would have to wait until after the new year. This new year had a different feeling for them, especially for the boatmen on the ships. They had never spent the new year elsewhere. Some of them were homesick, while others were in a special mood. Those owners might be used to wandering outside, especially those who had developed their family business bit by bit. When they were young, they ran businesses even during the new year in order to earn more money. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not really care where they spent the new year. In the past, the two of them often could not spend the new year with their families. Wang Wan naturally had to work overtime when she had to. As for Zhang Xiaobao, he did not have a family even if he wanted to spend the new year with his family. Many things for the new year had been arranged long ago. Now, he just had to look at the arrangements for Wulei County. He could not care about other places. Another spring has come, and we are 1 year older. Well, it's a nominal age. I wonder how the villagers in Sanshui County will spend this year. It's 30, and it's the darkest time. Perhaps they will light up many torches? Wang Wan looked at the plan for the new year and suddenly thought of Sanshui County. The two of them had deep feelings for that place. Fortunately, they were still spending the new year with their family. Otherwise, the two of them would feel lonely. Who cares how they spend the new year? Judging from the news sent over last time, they are developing well. They won't lack anything for the new year. Forget it, don't think about it. After being reminded by Wang Wan, Zhang Xiaobao also thought of the matter over there. Although he said not to think about it, his eyes were looking at the crescent moon in the sky, as if using it as a mirror. He wanted to see the silhouettes of the villagers. Wang Wan knew that Zhang Xiaobao did not want to make a Happy New Year uncomfortable. She nodded and said, "Well, I don't want to think about it. I don't know how the people in the surrounding prefectures spend their new year. I think they lack a lot of things. Forget it, I don't want to think about it. We have to go on." "Why are you mentioning other people again? Think positively." After the new year, the people can continue to work hard. This is the home that they built with their own hands. The new year will have a new atmosphere. Perhaps we will still be here at this time next year, or perhaps we will have left this place and gone somewhere else. Zhang Xiaobao really did not know how the imperial court would arrange for his father's place. When everything was almost done, it was time for his father to leave. Thinking of leaving, Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan again, "After the new year, we will focus on the people we need to focus on. After the new year, we'll have to shift the focus of our arrangements to the future development of the Chamber of Commerce and the docks. We still need to do the basic construction, but we need to focus on something. Otherwise, when the basic construction here is done, we won't have the things ready by the time the imperial court is ready to change people. That will be terrible. Yes, we need to focus on the things here first. continue the construction of the seawall, and slow down the other aspects. Wang Wan also thought of this point. Until now, there was a lot of goods overstocked, but without the money to sell them, those goods could not be considered as recouping the investment of the past few days. The people's wages were paid by themselves. The money for food was paid by themselves. The money for the houses was also paid by themselves. Although those goods were actually earned back, they were not sold after all. When the two of them thought of money, they began to plan for next year. First, they had to let the people help them do the work here. Fortunately, after the disaster, the rent tax would not be collected until the second half of next year. Before that, as long as the imperial court did not see the new rent tax, they would not be in a hurry to get rid of Zhongzheng. In fact, the people in the provinces around Luzhou were doing very well now. After all, the officials in their provinces wanted to learn from Zhongzheng. They exploited the officials in their provinces through various means, forcing these merchants to compromise with the various chambers of commerce on Luzhou's side. This really worked. As long as the merchants used Luzhou's chamber of commerce as an excuse, the local officials could not do anything to them. They all knew who was behind Luzhou's chamber of commerce. Fortunately, they had gotten a lot of benefits from the previous action. Even if it was not easy to take money from the merchants in the future, they had earned enough this time. In the name of doing things for the people, they did take out a small part of the money to give to the people, but they kept most of the money for themselves. A small portion was for those who stayed behind. To the commoners, this small portion was not small. At the very least, it was enough for them to live comfortably for a month. This made them look forward to the arrival of the new year even more, so that they could forget about the old year and start a new life. The ones who were really unhappy were Chao Harue and his two companions. After Chao Harue's introduction, the other two would be in charge of the fertilizer next year with him. It was not that they could not stand the smell. At most, they could just endure it for a while. The main thing was that they had not achieved their goal. They only hoped that after the matter of the fertilizer was settled, Zhongzheng would put them in an important position. At that time, they would be able to obtain the cement recipe. Although they said that they didn't owe Zhongzheng money, they still owed money to the Ning family in Qinzhou. That was always a problem. Most of the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company had left the ship, leaving only a few guards on the ship. The rest of the people had gone to the provincial capital. Usually, this place was not very busy, so there would be fewer people on the streets. But now, most of the people did not have to do anything. They were busy preparing for the new year. As such, the night of the 29th of December became lively. Those who were doing business did not plan to sleep at night. They wanted to sell something properly. Needless to say, there really were people who lived nearby who came out at night to take a stroll. No matter what, it was still winter. Coupled with the low temperature at night, the commoners wore more clothes when they came out. With the wages they had earned these days, they wanted to buy some things that the officials did not give out and decorate their homes properly. There were also many people sitting in the small restaurant. They were all waiting for the new year to come. They could not sleep at all, so they could only find a few familiar people to drink. These people were naturally the men in their families. They sat around a table and drank the wine that they were usually reluctant to buy. They talked about the events of the past year. The owners of the Yellow River Shipping Company could not sleep either. They chose to live in the Sea Clouds restaurant. Although it was called a restaurant, it was actually a comprehensive place. At this time, between the clouds and the water was very quiet. It seemed that there were no other guests except for the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company. It was not an important traffic road in the capital, nor was it a political, economic, and cultural center. Usually, the businessmen who could come here would go home early to prepare for the new year. Who would stay here until next year? Because of this, the sea and clouds seemed to have quieted down. The owners of the Yellow River boat line couldn't possibly chat with the boatmen openly. Since they knew these people, they didn't have much to say. Seeing that the street below was brightly lit, they couldn't help but suggest that they go to the street to take a look. A group of people walked out of the Sea Cloud house and strolled around on this night before the 30th. Listening to the noise in the pub and looking at the local people who were also too excited to sleep, they suddenly felt like they were strolling around the night market in Chang'an. From time to time, they would hear a voice praising Zhang Zhong from somewhere. They were already used to hearing this. Sun Dongjia, what are you looking at? When the group of people walked slowly, one of the owners saw Sun Dongjia stopping to look from time to time and asked, I'm looking at whether they usually use those furs or not. If they use a lot, it means that they are not short of furs here. Then the leftovers we brought can be sold at a slightly lower price. If they don't use furs here at all, then it's hard to say. Sun Dongjia looked and answered the owner's question. The people around them also heard and were stunned. The smart ones immediately understood. If it was the former situation, it meant that the people here still used furs. Although the price of those leftovers would be much lower, there were still people who used them. If it was the latter, there were only two possibilities. First, the people here liked to use furs, but they did not, so the goods they brought were valuable. Second, no one here wanted to use furs at all. This was what they were most afraid of. If that was the case, they could not sell the goods they brought. Even if they gave them to others for free, no one would want to buy them. As the group of people thought this, their eyes began to imitate Boss Sun's actions. They carefully stared at the side, wanting to know if the local people liked to use fur. As they looked and walked, the group of people stopped. The reason was that they saw a shop. The shop's door was also open. Occasionally, people would go in and look around, but they might not necessarily buy anything. Facing the door, there was a counter, and there was a person who should be a clerk. At this time, the clerk was holding his chin with both hands and his eyes were narrowed. He looked like he could fall asleep at any time. Let's go in and take a look. One of the owners saw a shop that specialized in selling furs and called out to the others. They walked in first, and the others followed behind. When they arrived at the shop, they did not expect the clerk to be happy to welcome them. The clerk still narrowed his eyes, but he did not continue to pay attention to them after glancing at them a few times. The group of people looked in the shop. The two owners saw a complete wolf skin at the same time. They looked at each other and one of them asked the clerk, How much is this skin? 20 copper coins. The clerk Wei Wei looked up and saw the person who asked the question pointing at the wolf skin. He listlessly replied, 20 copper coins? How can it be so cheap? The person who asked the question couldn't believe it. If they bought it in the capital, it would cost at least 30 copper coins, but the current price was a bit too much for them to bear. Any merchant like them would be very depressed when they heard this price. Either they would be cheaper so that they could bring it back to the capital to sell, or they would be more expensive so that the first scraps on the ship could be sold for a good price. But now, this price was neither high nor low, so they couldn't transport it back. The profit was too little. At the same time, the furs on the ship couldn't be sold at a good price. Clerk, let me ask you something. Do many people come to your shop to buy furs? At this time, the other owner could only pin his hopes on the people here being interested in furs. It's okay. It's not a lot, but it's not a little either. Some people sell it back home to make something. After all, there are many toolkits. A layer of skin is more convenient. The clerk didn't care why these people asked such questions and answered while dozing off. The other owners nodded one after another, indicating that they understood. At this time, Sun Dongjia suddenly asked, Clerk, how much do you sell the fish glue here? We don't sell fish glue here. If you want to buy it, continue to walk east. After walking 100 steps, you will see the grocery store. They sell fish glue there. When the shop assistant saw that they were only asking but not buying, he simply stopped staring at them. He thought that these people with decent clothes wouldn't steal the furs in the shop. After saying that, he buried his head in his arms that were resting on the counter and turned his head to the side, only looking at the entrance. Seeing the clerk like this, they didn't continue to ask. One by one, they walked out of the store and headed to the place that the clerk had just mentioned. How much is the fish glue? Finally, they found the place. A group of people walked in and looked around. They saw a jar on the side with a piece of paper on it with the words, fish glue, written on it. One person asked, That big jar costs 300 coins. It will be cheaper if you buy more. There were also 2 clerks here. There was one more person than the previous place. It seemed that the store was too busy, so they found an extra clerk. Hearing the clerk's answer, the owners were stunned. 1,300 coins for a jar of fish glue? It was too expensive. The clerk said that it was a big jar, but this jar could only hold about 10 caddies of fish glue. Didn't that mean that 1 caddy of fish glue would cost 130 coins? Expensive. It wasn't just expensive, it was unbearably expensive. The person who asked the question just now continued, "Didn't you say that it's very convenient to fish because it's near here? Of course, the fish glue should be cheaper. Otherwise, who would buy it?" The clerk obviously didn't expect that these people would ask such a question. Seeing that they asked, he could only answer, "It's true that you can fish, but it's not that easy to boil fish glue. How much glue can be made from a fish's body? This price is not expensive. If you don't believe me, you can go to other places and see how much other places are selling for." At this point, the owners knew that they were in trouble. It didn't matter if the fur was cheaper, but the fish glue was too expensive. They couldn't bear it. If they followed the original plan, not only would they not make money, they would also lose a lot of money. One by one, the owners were stunned at the moment, including owner Sunday. When they came, they dreamed of making a fortune. They only heard that the fish here were easy to catch, and that there were so many that they couldn't even count them. They never thought that the fish gelatin here would be so expensive. The good mood of waiting for the new year disappeared in an instant, leaving only blankness. What should we do? What should we do? Do we have to ship the leftovers of the fur back? I don't think anyone will buy it, even if we ship it back. One of the owners looked at the jar of fish glue and muttered to himself. His grumbling made those who didn't know what to do even more anxious. It was as if the sky was falling down on them. "We'll talk about it when we get back. Let's go somewhere else first." Sun Dongjia was the biggest owner. At this time, he was still calm. Seeing that the others' eyes were not right, he quickly slapped them one by one to wake them up. The group also knew that it was useless to sigh now. They only hoped that the shop assistant was lying to them. They would know when they went somewhere else. With expectations in their hearts, they left the grocery store and continued to stroll on the street. Actually, it was not correct to say that they were strolling. They wanted to find another grocery store to ask, so they quickened their steps and looked around. When they saw that it was not a grocery store, they immediately walked away. After midnight, everyone returned to the Sea Cloud Pavilion. Their complexions were very unsightly. They entered a room and looked at each other. No one spoke. "What are you afraid of? Isn't it just a little different from the plan? At most, we can change the method. Think about it, don't worry." Sun Dongjia saw that everyone was listless and comforted them. "Method? What method is there?" The plan was written clearly, and there were some countermeasures, but those methods all required the price of the fish glue to be lowered first. Who came up with those ideas? They can't be used at all? Huh? Who came up with that idea? At this time, one of the owners was about to collapse. There was no other way. Before he came, he had bought a lot of leftovers of the fur at a high price. Who would have thought that they couldn't do according to the plan at all? Chapter 503. The owners of the Yellow River Shipping Company welcomed the new year under such circumstances. They did not dare to tell their subordinates about this matter. They were afraid that if their subordinates lost their morale, they might not be able to return this time. On the night of New Year's Eve, Zhang Zhong did not let his family celebrate with the local people like he did in the past. The main reason was that there were 2 pregnant women at home. If something happened, it would be too late for regrets. Therefore, he went out at night to have fun with the people. This year, he did not go from house to visit those who were not living well. In fact, there was no need for him to visit them. Those people were basically the same. The only place that was worth visiting was the nursing home. The old men and women in the nursing home were doing well. They were usually well nourished, and there was always a doctor at home. This year, there was no problem that they could not survive. The sky was filled with fireworks, and the sound of firecrackers could be heard all over Luzhou. Every family was laughing happily. Even the owners of the Yellow River Boating Company were in high spirits tonight as they had their reunion dinner with the boatmen below them. The 30th day had passed. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not want to give the people such a long holiday. Usually, they would only start work after the 15th day. Therefore, they arranged for the people to start work on the 6th of New Year. The people did not have any objections. They just wanted to build their homes as soon as possible. Even if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not let Zhang Zhong put up the notice in advance, they would ask about it themselves. In other places, people who had worked hard for a year would want to have a good rest during the new year. However, the people in Luzhou did not have such thoughts. They felt that working was the most enjoyable thing for them. The main thing was that this kind of work was done together. They could talk for a while working. This was much livelier than when they were working alone. If the people they were used to talking to suddenly had no one to talk to, they would feel very uncomfortable. As expected, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan shifted the focus of the people's work. They asked them to do as much as possible to build the docks at the docks. They also asked them to go to the mountains to get some wood needed to build ships. Li Sun didn't go back home for the new year this year. Old Man Pai's family and Old Man Chang's family spent the new year with Zhang Wang's family. Although Li Sun had grown up a lot and could be considered a responsible person, he was still like a child. He liked to burn incense and throw firecrackers around. After the first day of the new year, he also had things to do. There was still a lot of construction to be done on the mountain. It might be easier to change to flat land. The terrain in the mountain was complicated, and there were all kinds of mosquitoes and wild animals. The wild animals could be left to the guards to deal with, but there was no good way to deal with insects. It was still spring, which meant that it was winter. The weather hadn't warmed up yet. Of course, compared to other places in the north, this place was relatively warm. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan now exercised at the docks every day. Li Sun arranged the things in the mountain and followed the two people. When the two people did some exercises, he also followed. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't do anything out of the ordinary outside, which was running, leg stretching, and exercises. Li Sun followed. Wang Wan's two puppies had grown a lot. As long as Wang Wan went out, they ran behind her. They seemed very excited. Xiaobao, you two wait for me. I really can't run anymore. This sandbag wasn't heavy when I picked it up. Why can't I stand it after running for a while with it tied to my body? On the morning of the 8th day of the new year, Li Sun saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan each tied a 3-pound sandbag. Thinking about his age, he only got a 6-pound sandbag. His entire body weighed 6 pounds. He thought that this weight was nothing at all. However, after running behind Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan for a while, he finally regretted it. Although he regretted it, he felt that he still had to hold on. After all, he was the one who asked for this weight. If he took it off now, it would be easy for others to laugh at him. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan running further and further away, he could only ask them to wait. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan each had a half-pound sandbag on their legs, and the other 2 pounds on their bodies. The two adjusted their breathing and ran around a garden on the side of the dock. One lap of the garden was about 1 kilometer. Now, the two had only run half a lap, so they weren't tired at all. Hearing Li Sun's shouts from behind, the two had no intention of stopping to wait. Who asked Li Sun to be so stupid? One of his legs was tied with a 3-pound sandbag. Not to mention that he wasn't a real adult yet, even an ordinary adult wouldn't be able to withstand this weight. The two didn't want to change their pace because of Li Sun. If they did, it would be very uncomfortable. The expressions on their faces were very relaxed, and they kept running in a counterclockwise direction, maintaining the same frequency and the same size of their steps. Seeing that the two were ignoring him, Li Sun had to run again. But after chasing for a while, he really couldn't go on anymore. It seemed that he had to find a reason to give up the sandbag. Li Sun shouted to the two people who were already out of sight, "Oh, the sandbag on my left leg is too abrasive. I'll take it off first." After shouting, he also knew that the other party would not pay attention to him. He took off the sandbag on his left leg, which was filled with 3 kilograms of sand. After moving his left leg, he felt much better and continued to run. After running for a while, he shouted again, My right leg is also worn out. I'll make a good one tomorrow. This is really too bad." As he spoke, he also took off the sandbag on his right leg. This was not because it was heavy, but because one leg was light and the other was heavy, so it was more uncomfortable to run. When he took off the sandbag on his right leg and was ready to chase the 2 people in front of him, he found that he didn't need to chase. He could just continue to run with them. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already circled behind him. "You two, I asked you to wait for me, but you didn't. I'm so tired. Tomorrow, I'm going to carry these sandbags on me, just like you two." Li Sun ran beside Zhang Xiaobao and didn't forget to complain to the 2 people. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still silent, and their eyes looked dull. This was the result of relaxing. Li Sun said a few words to himself. Seeing that they were ignoring him, he muttered, "You don't have to be so serious, right? It's just a game. Why do you have to be so serious? Sigh, I really admire the 2 of you. I'll also adjust my breathing." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ran 4 laps before stopping. They went to the side of a flower bed and started to stretch their legs. Li Sun followed them and ran a little more than 3 laps. He was exhausted. The main reason was that he had used too much energy to carry the sandbags. Otherwise, with his usual training, he wouldn't be so tired. He ran to Zhang Xiaobao's side and also started to stretch his legs. At the same time, he didn't forget to speak. "Xiaobao, do you think we should connect the 2 rivers to the middle of the mountain and repair it properly? The rivers inside should be connected, right? Especially the waterfall. It just so happens that the people don't have much to do now." "Why don't they have anything to do?" "Don't connect the rivers under the waterfall. If you really connect them, there will be a lot less beautiful scenery. You can fix the mouth of the waterfall. This will be arranged by you. There's no need to transfer the people from other places. When the construction here is almost done, and the speed of the boat is faster, my family will find a way to find some tourists for you." Zhang Xiaobao finally spoke at this time. The matter of the tourists here had been thought of. That was, they would wait in the capital. Once there was an imperial examination, those who didn't pass could be brought here to travel. The rich people would naturally enjoy better treatment. Those who didn't have money didn't have to worry. They could find some work here and let them help along the way. For example, they could write some travel notes, draw some scenery, and so on. This was not necessary to make a lot of money. The main purpose was to cultivate the people of Tang and let those who didn't pass the imperial examination relax. At the same time, they could gain some knowledge. The books in this era were not so rich. There were many experience books that were not in them. Li Sun also knew Zhang Xiaobao's plan. To be precise, it was the plan of the Zhang family. He had always thought so. After listening to Zhang Xiaobao's words, he nodded and said, "Well, I will find a way to speed up. I think the tools used at the Xiao Luo Shui Wharf in Sanshui County are very good. Can you let people make some iron chains with iron things? That way, they can work faster." What Li Sun was talking about was the cargo cranes and other tools at the docks. The ones at the docks were bigger, but the speed at which they worked was much faster than before. He wanted to get more of those tools. When Zhang Xiaobao heard this, he turned to look at Wang Wan. Wang Wan's eyes also lit up. She said, "Yes, this is a good idea. Yes, get some good steel and let the good craftsmen make more tools. Those machine tools are not perfect now, but there should be no problem to make handmade tools." Wang Wan suddenly remembered that some of the tools here were not comprehensive enough. At that time, she and Zhang Xiaobao were not like this. It might be difficult to make a large number of tools, but it was not a problem to let the people around them use them. The most important thing was that after the handmade tools were made, they could slowly be modified bit by bit until they were perfect. They could also be used to assist the machine tools. This might take a long time, but it was better than not doing it. I knew you would have a way. Then I will wait. The matter of steel needs to be done slowly. This is not the capital, and many things are not easy to find. Li Sun saw that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan agreed, so he was relieved. He was waiting for the master hiding in the Zhang family to make more good things. When the time came, not only could he use it, but he could also send some to the Ministry of Works. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that Li Sun was enthusiastic about this matter, so they suddenly had a better idea. Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, "In fact, I think that the people who do things now, although they are always doing it, are not professional enough. For example, building a house is usually done by a craftsman. This kind of ability is not small, but there are fewer people who can do it. There should be a special person in charge of a certain thing. For example, people who build roads are in charge of building roads. As long as they know how to build roads and how to drain water, it will be fine. It is the same for people who build houses. Each person is in charge of one aspect. If young Master Li can find more people, it is better to try this and see if there are any benefits. We can set up a construction company and take on those construction tasks. At first, we can find skilled people to lead them. In the end, we can form a team. Not only can they work for themselves, but they can also make money by working for others. In the process of working, they can improve some tools. At critical times, if there is a need for war, these people can help to build some defensive fortifications." Li Sun could now understand many new words. He also understood what a company meant. It was similar to the group. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao's proposal, he patted his head and said, "Yes, I did. In fact, I have such a vague idea, but I can't say it specifically. Now I know what it means. Yes, a company. I want to set up a company, a construction company. When the time comes, I will take on some work. When there is no work, I can repair things for myself. When there is a war, I can go over and build defenses. That's a good idea. When I get back, I'll start recruiting people. I'll give them better treatment. I'm going to recruit 3,000 people first. After these 3,000 people are trained, I'll continue to recruit more people. You guys have to make the tools in time. Also, there's cement and whatnot. I'll let them use that to practice. Naturally, we can't build defenses with mud and grass like we used to build houses. It can't be made of wood and bamboo like ordinary houses. We will use cement. Hurry up and do it. When you are done, I will go back and recruit people." The more Li Sun spoke, the more excited he became. He began to urge Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When Zhang Xiaobao heard that Li Sun wanted to recruit people, he quickly denied it and said, "No, you are not allowed to recruit people here. If you recruit all the people here, we will not be able to do anything here. Lu Zhou's idea is not allowed. You have to think of other ways." "Oh, Lu Zhou can't do that?" "That's right, the people here are actually helping the Chamber of Commerce do things in the future. If they really lose 3,000 people, then the Chamber of Commerce will earn a lot less money." "Alright, other places then. I'll think of a way. It would be good if this was in the capital." When Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, he scratched his head and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan with a smile. When Zhang Xiaobao saw that Li Sun had changed his mind, he was relieved. He did not want to send the people here to other places. Of course, the construction company had to follow the work they received. What if they received a job that was further away? The three of them trained for a while. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to watch the progress of the various projects here. Li Sun went back to arrange the establishment of the company. He did not want to monopolize this company. He also wanted to give Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan a share. After Li Sun left, Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao worriedly, "Xiaobao, do you think that after establishing such a professional construction company, they will think of cutting corners when their skills are improved? Then, they will come up with a lot of useless projects. I am afraid that they will not put iron wires in the cement but bamboo or wood. The better the skills, the better the products. The people here do not seem to have learned that ability. Of course, they will learn to cut corners. They will not learn to build houses for the people or officials. They will use it to make fake fortifications. They will be able to use it in a real war. Moreover, we can send people to watch over them, especially those with good skills. They will be supervisors in the future. If anyone dares to cut corners when building roads, bridges, or houses, then they will do their best to clean them up. This is the good thing about the era of power. Moreover, there is no real estate to be speculated in now. I reckon that when the time comes, there will be people who will learn from Li Sun and set up some construction teams. But don't worry, the cement is in our hands. We don't care how big the houses are, what kind of bridges and roads are built. If they want to buy the cement, they need to apply. When the time comes, we will send people over to measure the amount needed. We will also have people monitoring. As long as anyone violates the rules, we will stop the supply of cement. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't too worried about this matter. The people here wouldn't cheat like that. At least, some of the commoners wouldn't. As for the construction of the river and sea dikes, some officials might be able to do it, such as using soft soil to replace stone. That's good. I think if it's really a civil organization, if they really cut corners when they're building things, it won't be as simple as stopping the supply of cement. It's very likely that they'll be investigated by the government. I'm afraid that some aristocratic families, who are officials themselves, will take risks in order to obtain enough benefits for themselves. Wang Wan was still a little worried. In the face of profit, morality couldn't restrain them. She thought for a while and continued, also, we need to pay attention to whether such companies will deliberately accept some projects or fake projects in order to make more money. Then, they will deliberately sell cement to the surrounding countries by cheating them. When the time comes, if it is a civil organization, they just need to break it up. After a few days, they can change people to set up a company. As long as they can buy the cement, they will not care about stopping the supply. Yes, this is also a problem. Then we can't sell the cement to them easily. And even if we sell it, we have to let people follow them and give them the cement bit by bit. Only when the original cement is almost used up can we give them new cement. Otherwise, we can't expect more cement to be provided. When Zhang Xiaobao heard this, he became serious. This problem could not be ignored. It was easy for some of the surrounding countries to come up with some schemes when they know about the cement. It was very simple. It was just a shell company. He used to do it often. Chapter 504. Once people had hope and were organized, their strength would be very great. Lu Zhou's people were like this now. They were used to following orders. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were in charge of planning. The two of them did not want to spend time to cultivate the independence of these people. It would not be good for the current construction. Not to mention the current era, even in their time, there were also many people who didn't need to think about their own matters. As long as others took the lead, they would follow suit. If the commoners really understood the true meaning behind everything they did, there would be no need for two people to do anything else. The current situation was not bad. The commoners gathered together to work and eat together. Those who had children at home also sent their children to school. The teacher that Old Man Pai found had not come yet. He would not leave until after the 15th. Now, the children were learning Chinese pinyin. This thing was very useful. In fact, there were things to teach pronunciation, but these things needed to be replaced with Chinese characters. In order to know how to pronounce a Chinese character, one needed to know other Chinese characters. In this way, one would know what the Chinese character was if they used that Chinese character to spell it. This was really frustrating. If the Chinese character that was used as pinyin was difficult to spell, they would have to find out how to pronounce it. There were only 26 letters in pinyin. As long as one remembered the rules, it would be fine. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had put a lot of effort into this pinyin. After all, the two of them could speak many dialects. However, it was very difficult to get the correct pronunciation. The two of them could only use Ya's book to compare and mark the Chinese characters one by one. This was not a small project. When Li Sun saw these things, he became interested again. He pulled Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Xiaobao, this thing is good. Hurry up, get all the words we can see. I will learn this in the future. Xiaobao, if you really get these things, your family will make a great contribution. Hurry up, hurry up. It's best if you can get a book like Yuz. Then, you can check whatever words you want. There will be pronunciations, explanations, and some allusions." Li Sun immediately found the use of this pinyin. It was really convenient. As long as one memorized the 26 special words and mastered the rules, it would be fine. The masters of the Zhang family were really extraordinary. They had such a good thing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still comparing the pinyin given by Ye. When they heard Li Sun's words, they stopped. "Don't stop, right? I don't know how. When I learn it, I will help you. Hurry up, what is this?" As Li Sun spoke, she found something with a drawing on it. Needless to say, one look at the drawing and she knew it was done by Wang Wan. This is to learn the words by looking at pictures. We did it before, but it was not so comprehensive. Now that we have pinyin, we can use this instead. Children need to cultivate their interests. Tell them stories, and then they will read the stories themselves. It's just right for them to learn the words by looking at the stories. As for using this pinyin to make a book of Yuz, please forgive us for not being able to do that. We don't have so much time to write a dictionary. No, what you are asking for is not just a dictionary. It's the same as CI High. If we really want to make that thing, Cuckoo and I will not be able to do anything else in our lives. Whoever has the ability can do it. Zhang Xiaobao explained how to learn the words by looking at pictures and rejected Li Sun's proposal very straightforwardly. He and Wang Wan were not that great. There were so many civil officials in the imperial court. Let them do it. There was strength in numbers. It should be very fast to get hundreds of people to specially proofread this. He and Wang Wan just wanted to make some simple teaching materials for the children to use first, and then let others do the work in the future. Besides pinyin, the two decided that the next step was to do mathematics. They took out Arabic numerals and used them. In fact, there were some simple numerals here. Usually, they were used for bookkeeping, but this was very irregular. Some bookkeeping was done by circle, while others were done by region. If one wanted to understand all of these bookkeeping in the Great Tang, one would have to learn many convenient bookkeeping methods of others. How could this be? They had to be unified, especially the language. They had to use the official Yuz. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan decided to keep the local dialects and let these people learn Mandarin. In the end, the language was not the most important. The most important thing was to be able to communicate and communicate smoothly. Li Sun lowered his head and thought for a while. He gritted his teeth and said, "I have decided. I will not play these days. I will learn this pinyin thing from the two of you. When I learn it, I will write to others and let them do it. I plan to sleep for 4 hours a day and use the rest of the time to learn. I will eat 4 or 5 meals a day. I will definitely not exceed 2 hours. Then you can learn it yourself. If you want to learn it, you can't let us sleep for 4 hours a day, right? We are still young. Lack of sleep will affect our health." Wang Wan said discontentedly. "Oh, then the two of you can sleep. I will go find a few smart people who followed me. When the time comes, we will learn it by ourselves." Li Sun just remembered that the two of them were involved. After saying this, he got up and left, ready to find someone to learn it with him. When he walked out, the two of them realized that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both knew this. Why couldn't they learn it separately? As long as they slept separately, there would always be someone to learn it with, right? He shook his head. It was better to find someone to do it according to the two of them. After all, the two of them called each other childhood sweethearts. They had to do things together. After Li Sun left, Wang Wan looked at the picture book and thought for a while. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "People nowadays don't seem to know so much about physiology and health." Should we teach it to them? Especially those young officials who don't know how to take care of their bodies. There are some here, right? Those pornographic pictures and women before they get married are always told what to do by their families. If you make it into a proper book, I think it will be easy to be attacked by others. Zhang Xiaobao said. Nowadays, those postures are just pictures. It's not systematic at all. For example, why can't physiology work? Some people still use sticks and bamboo pieces to go to the toilet. Our family uses paper, but many people still do the same. There are so many people in the toilet using the same bamboo piece. Do you think it'll spread germs? Wang Wan was a little disgusted when she talked about this. Zhang Xiaobao could still bear it. He thought for a while and said, then don't talk about physiology and health. Just talk about hygiene. We don't have to do it ourselves. Let those people in the hospital do it. As long as someone goes to see a doctor, let the doctor tell them how to pay attention to hygiene. As for the paper, it needs to be improved. We don't need good paper. When the time comes, we can use lime to sterilize it. That's a problem. No wonder children nowadays die so easily. In fact, they just don't pay attention to certain aspects. Change has to be done slowly. Yes, not only children but also adults. Some people pay attention to hygiene. It makes sense. If they don't even have a good life, who has time to pay attention to those things? Only the rich can think about it. Let's write down this matter first. We'll think about it after we finish a small book of pinyin. This time, let's organize 500 words. We can't afford to tire ourselves out with more. Wang Wan felt that just when they were about to do one thing, a new thing came up. It seemed that they would never be able to rest. In fact, she understood that it was not that she and Zhang Xiaobao couldn't rest, but that they didn't want to use so much knowledge that they didn't want to get. That would be a loss. Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his eyes and wrists. He said, yes, it's tiring. But since we can contribute to this era, we have to work hard to do it. Whether it's to promote the course of history or to reflect the self-worth of life, we're here once. If we don't do something, we'll be sorry for ourselves. In the future, we'll find more people to help us. There are so many people in the inner courtyard. I don't want to tire myself to death. I want to live for a few more years and see my ideas recognized and learned by others. I want to see the birth of a strong motherland. Wang Wan took a deep breath. She was moved by Zhang Xiaobao's words. People lived their lives for this. Enjoying material things was more of a spiritual sustenance. If you had the opportunity to work hard but didn't work hard, that would be the biggest regret. With the motivation, the two of them wrote faster. Wang Wan was more familiar with using a brush to pinyin the Chinese characters. Zhang Xiaobao was better than the average person, but it was still tiring for his wrists. When the two of them came up with 300 pinyin characters, Li Sun rushed over with a group of people who served him. They were more clever and could read at the same time. Listen to me. From today onwards, you have to learn well. Whoever learns the fastest and can teach others will be rewarded. If you don't learn well, wait to be whipped. Li Sun was usually good to his servants. Today, for his great dream, he had to use some threatening means and at the same time motivating them. There were a total of 6 people who came with him. When they heard the Marquis's words, they nodded and said that they must learn well. If they could learn as much as they could teach others. Chapter 505. After the new year, everyone began to busy themselves with their own things. Even Zhang Wang clan and Wang Wan's mother were busy listening to music. These songs were written by Wang Wan. She found someone who knew how to play it and took turns to listen to it for the two of them. To be precise, it was for the child in her belly. In order not to make it too monotonous for the two of them to listen to one song, Wang Wan hummed all the songs she could to those people who played it. Some songs were the same. They didn't need lyrics, just the melody. This was a task, and the two mothers began to be arranged regularly. Everyone had things to do. The only people who didn't have things to do were the people who came from the Yellow River boat lane. These owners now understood that the leftovers of the fur they brought couldn't be sold for much money. This trip was in vain. In order to find new business, they began to wander around every day. This made Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan surprised. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "It seems that your plan was made in vain." They didn't follow the plan at all. They didn't seem to be in a hurry at all. They just let the goods pile up there. Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a while and said, "It's normal. No one can guarantee that every trick will succeed in the end. The Yellow River Shipping Company has been developing for so many years. Even if they were affected by our business recently, they still have their own foundation. They can't be tricked so easily. At least, they lost more than a dozen ships of goods. This is good. They probably want to find some business for themselves. If they want, we can trick them again and make them lose more money. What do you think?" "I think we should forget about it. If they blocked our ship, then not only did we make a profit from the fur deal, but we also schemed against them once, so we're even. They don't have any hostile relationship with us. Do we have to be enemies just because they want to do business in the same way?" "That's right." Wang Wan didn't have any hostility to the Yellow River Shipping Company. There didn't seem to be any big conflicts between the two sides. The conflict last time could be considered as revenge. She didn't doubt Zhang Xiaobao's ability at all. If he really wanted to trick the Yellow River Shipping Company, no matter how they hid, it would be useless. It would be the same even if they tried to avoid contact with this side. As long as they were still businessmen, as long as they were still prepared to continue doing business and chasing profits, they couldn't run away. Unless they changed their profession now and ran far away, so that Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't have so much energy to do so. For example, the matter mentioned a few months ago had already been pulled in a lot of people. It was to form a new group and let this group fight with between the clouds and the water. The fight had already started in Beijing. There were other businessmen on both sides joining in, and those who hated between the clouds and the water and those who protected between the clouds and the water were immediately distinguished. At this time, it should be a small fight. Both sides had wins and losses. The businessmen didn't invest a lot of money. When the fight grew bigger, they would know the consequences of going against between the clouds and the water. Those who wanted to go against between the clouds and the water had already hidden temporarily, but in the end, they were still exposed by Xiao Bao. Sigh. If Xiao Bao really wanted to trick someone, that person would be finished, especially under the cover of a child's identity. Many people who were tricked didn't know who their real opponent was. The so-called "know thyself and know thy enemy" didn't need to be used on Zhang Xiaobao. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao was just asking. It was too easy to trick the Yellow River Shipping Company again. They were still looking for opportunities to do business here, so how could they hide? Seeing that Wang Wan didn't advocate this kind of trick, he said, "Let's leave it at that. Alright, let's ignore them for now. If they find a new way to make money here, as long as it doesn't infringe on our interests, I will pretend that I don't know. But if they are prepared to use our losses to achieve their goals, then don't blame me for being rude. The furs from his ships are actually quite useful. Think of a way to buy them, or even lower the cost. The cost I'm talking about doesn't include the cost of transportation. It's the lowest price they'll pay when they buy them. The price we're selling to them is definitely not good enough. Let's go and teach Li Sun and the rest. After we're done with this, we still have to continue leading the Family Seeds Protection Team to the mountains for training." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he pulled Wang Wan and walked out. Wang Wan smiled and said, "It's better to let them keep those furs on the ship for a while. When the next batch of ships comes, they will be anxious to sell them. If we talk to them about buying now, they will definitely not give up. That's right, they're looking for new goods. They're not in too much of a hurry when that ship is parked here. When another fleet comes, they'll realize that they've wasted a lot of time. Perhaps they'll know now, but they just can't make up their minds to cut off their losses." Zhang Xiaobao knew what Wang Wan meant. In fact, it was because of some personal reasons now. If it were him and Wang Wan, when the two of them found that the furs on the ship were worthless, They would definitely get all the furs on the shore, and then use the fastest speed to investigate here and buy some things back. Many people here thought that as long as the ship was parked there, they would not lose money as long as they were not in a hurry to sell it. But Wang won, and he thought that as long as the ship was not running back and forth, it was a loss. If these ships were bought by the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company with a high interest rate, they would not let the ships continue to be parked there. Every day the ships were parked there was a great loss. The two of them left the room while talking. They were ready to finish teaching Li Sun's people and move on to the next thing. The owners of the Yellow River Shipping Company were inspecting Lu Zhou's side. They wanted to know what could be sold here, and at the same time, they wanted to buy some valuable things back. They had been going around for a few days. The more the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company went around, the more disappointed they became. They didn't expect that the business opportunity here was controlled by the Zhang family. Those Chamber of Commerce contacted them and said that they were willing to sell things to them. They even selected some types for them to understand. Logically speaking, this was a good thing, but the price of the goods given by these Chamber of Commerce was too high. It was so high that if these goods were transported back to the capital, they could only earn less than 500 strings of coins. This was after deducting the cost of food, which was not bad. At least, they did not come here for nothing. However, they should not calculate the cost like this. If they wanted to calculate, they should calculate the biggest profit. This was not the biggest profit. The money for the furs had not been calculated yet. If they were to calculate everything, they would lose more than 3,000 strings of coins this time. This was not a big sum of money for the Yellow River Shipping Company. The problem was, if they did not lose, how much could they make this time? If they combined the profit and the loss, it would not be as simple as 3,000 strings of coins. When the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company found that they could not make a move here, someone finally could not take it anymore. He said to the other owners, "I think we should stop looking for business here in Luzhou. Let's go back and take those furs back. Maybe there will be people in other provinces who are willing to buy these furs. A living person can't die from suffocation. I've decided to leave this place and go to other provinces to have a look. Are you going to wait here or come with me?" When he heard the owner's words, Sun Dongjia frowned and persuaded, "You can't be too anxious about this. What if something happens? Let's wait for 2 more days. If we still can't find any business, then we'll talk about it again. You can't leave alone while everyone else stays here, right? If you're in danger, it'll be too late to save you even if we want to." As soon as he said that, the others echoed his words. Indeed, this owner only had 2 ships. This was not the Yellow River, but the sea. They might encounter danger at any time. It was better to wait for a while. When the time came, everyone would act together. This person was also very sullen and wanted to vent his anger. When he heard the dissuasion of others, he followed suit and no longer mentioned leaving. "Sun Dongjia, do you know what's the best business here?" Seeing that someone had stopped Sun Dongjia, someone next to him asked Sun Dongjia. Sun Dongjia bitterly smiled and said, "How would I know? This place is different from other places. The things that are picked up in the mountains are handed over to the Zhang family's Chamber of Commerce to sell. The things in the sea are also organized by them. As for the things that are produced here, they have no use at all. It's difficult, so we'll have to look again." When the others saw that Sun Dongjia didn't have a solution, they could only continue to think hard about what could make money. Normally, they could easily find a way to make money. The problem was that the various businesses in this place were controlled by the Zhang family. Even if others wanted to intervene, they couldn't. At this time, the group had already reached the east side of the 2 rivers that were dug out. Looking at the spring fish in the water happily playing there, everyone's faces were filled with helplessness. "Let's see if the fish here are okay. When we came here, I heard that their ship bought a lot of crabs when it passed by Lake Tai. It's not easy to eat them here, so they used them to make dishes. Some even raised them. Since they can raise them, we can do the same." Sun Dongjia stared at the fish swimming in the river and said to the others. The others shook their heads one after another. These fish weren't valuable, so it was useless to catch more. Sun Dongjia seemed to understand the thoughts of the others. He just didn't have an idea and didn't expect others to agree with him. The group of people gave up on the fish in the water and continued to walk upstream along the shore. Needless to say, when these people were walking, they praised the construction of the river. Not only was the water big, but it was also very stable. It was also very convenient for watering. As they walked, these people came to a place that seemed to be slightly wider than other places. Once this place was wider, the river became even smoother. Suddenly, a person looked at the river and shouted happily, "I've got it! I've thought of a good idea! It's the fish farming that Master Sun mentioned just now." When the others heard him say that he had a good idea, they were also happy. But who knew that it was still fish? What was the use of raising fish? There were people who didn't like to eat fish, and people who liked to eat fish naturally lived near the lake or river. Even if the Zhang family had made a lot of fish dishes, most of the fish were not the fish here, but the carp in the Yellow River. That was the most delicious, especially some dishes made with carp, which made the price of carp a lot higher. Seeing the silent expression of the people, the person who just spoke continued, "The fish I'm talking about is not the fish to eat, but this kind. Look at the water, there are two kinds of fish. If we catch more of these kinds of fish, wouldn't it be a good thing to show others when we go back? Look, isn't the colorful fish very beautiful when they swim in the water? If we raise a few of them at home, the guests will definitely admire them when they come. Then, we can casually tell stories to others." That feeling, TSK. After he said that, the others looked carefully. It was indeed as he said. There were two kinds of fish in this flat place. No, if they could be divided by the depth of the color, there should be 4 kinds of colors. At this time, when they looked carefully, they found that there were many fish in this place, and it seemed that every one of them had a color. Thinking about what the person said just now, everyone was tempted. If they brought these fish back, it wouldn't be a problem to sell them for dozens of strings of coins. Especially since these fish could produce seeds, as long as they raised them for a year, there would be a pile of such fish. Thinking of this, some people prepared to go into the water, but no matter how smooth the water was, they couldn't go in. It was too deep, and it was too easy for them to go in without a person. The people on the shore began to worry. At this time, a few people who were working were preparing to wash their faces. "Hey! Come here, I have something to tell you." Sun Dongjia called out to those people. Those people walked over in confusion. Looking at the people in front of them, they didn't know why they were called over. "I have something to tell you. Do you see the fish in the water?" Sun Dongjia asked those people and pointed at the fish in the river. Those people nodded, indicating that they saw it. At the same time, they were even more confused. "It's like this, I'm going to give you a benefit, and that is, if you go down and help me catch these colorful fish, I'll give you 5 copper coins for each one you catch. 5 copper coins, it's much easier than working for you. If you can catch 10 of them, it'll be 50 copper coins. Look at how many of these fish there are in the water, and you know how much money you can make in the end. Also, look, this fish is only swimming in this place, and it doesn't go down or up, so it's not difficult to catch it. How about it? Are you willing to do it? If you are, I'll take the money now." Sun Dongjia continued to speak, and also told those people what he found out. The price of each fish was 5 copper coins. He thought that once these people heard this, they would jump into the river without even taking off their clothes. As he spoke, he took out some silver coins. It was inconvenient to carry copper coins when they were outside, so they could just take the silver coins to some pawn shops or banks to exchange them. Sometimes they could even buy things directly. He was right, and the others were also thinking the same. However, as soon as he finished speaking, those people in front of him looked at them with vigilance, indicating that they were going to make a move. "What? Are you afraid that I'll cheat you? Or do you think the money is too little?" Sun Dongjia looked at those people and found that something was wrong, so he asked softly. At this time, one of those people spoke. "These colorful fish are raised by a good official and are prepared to be sold for a lot of money in the future. You want to get one for 5 copper coins? Are you guys deliberately targeting these fishes? Ah. Raised by someone else? A good official? Oh, it's Provincial Governor Zhang, right? These fish are raised by his family? In the future, they will be sold for a lot of money. Oh no, this business is gone again. At this time, the person who suggested to catch the fish was completely listless. He thought that he was the only one who was smart, and no one else could think of this. Who knew that it was not the case at all? Of course they are raised by Lord Zhang. Look carefully. Why don't those fish run to other places? That's because there are 3 layers of fine nets on both sides. The local who spoke just now pointed at the nets in the water that one had to look very carefully to see and said to the group of masters, "It seems that everyone is not a fool." It turns out that this is the situation. After taking a closer look, it was indeed the case. Just as this person had said, there was a net in the river. They had only thought of this idea because they saw a special fish, but this person had already started to raise them. It was obvious who was better between the 2 sides. The group of masters was convinced. They just thought of a good idea after seeing the fish raised by the other party. No wonder the people here looked at them like that. It turned out that this was the reason. Forget it, they couldn't catch this fish anymore. Even though no one was watching them now, if they really caught it, some people might pop out from somewhere and catch them too. After looking at those beautiful fish with pity, these masters continued to walk to other places, preparing to look for other things that could be sold for money. This search lasted for 2 days, but they didn't find anything useful at all. Today, the group of people came to the vicinity of a swamp. Generally, no one would come here. The few of them also knew that this place was more dangerous. If a python or other things came out, it would be very easy to die. Therefore, the few of them were very cautious, afraid that they wouldn't be able to react in time. As they walked, the group stood next to a pond with fewer plants and looked at the scenery of spring. Some of the flowers had already bloomed. After all, the weather here was warm. If they did well, there would be flowers blooming in all 4 seasons. There was also a trace of green in the grass. Even if the weather was a little cold, it would make people feel more comfortable. Take off your shoes, roll up your pants, and walk inside. What if you find something? For example, fish with the same color. The fish here are not under their control, right? Even if they are preparing to use this kind of fish to do business, as long as we don't catch them in the river, what can they do? At this time, one of the masters proposed to go down and take a look. The few of them thought about it and nodded. Although they were afraid of being bitten by leeches in the water, it was not a big deal. At worst, they could just use the soles of their shoes to slap them down. Their shoes were not easy to take off. After a while, they finally took off their shoes and rolled up their trousers. Just as they finished rolling up their trousers and before they could go down, a figure suddenly flipped over about 10 feet in front of them. A 3-foot-long fish of unknown species was bitten by the thing that flipped over. After that thing bit the big fish, it began to turn its body vigorously until it got rid of a part of the fish that was bitten. Then, it ate a piece of the fish and looked at the people on the shore. Slowly, it sank into the water, and after a while, no trace of it could be found. Crocodile. There is actually a crocodile here. It's too scary. One of the masters covered his chest with his hand and breathed quickly. His face was pale. He knew about this thing, but he didn't expect it to be so close. If it really went into the water, it wouldn't be the fish that was eaten, but one of them. Since there was one, there might be others hiding in the dark. Thinking like this, everyone quickly retreated a distance, afraid that something would suddenly come out and bite them. Too dangerous, really too dangerous. How could there be a crocodile here? At this time, one of the owners recovered a little. As he spoke, he thought for a moment and picked up a few stones from the side and threw them into the water. As soon as he threw the stones, there was a reaction in the water. With a splash sound, some of the crocodiles sank, and 2 of them actually crawled towards them. Everyone didn't even bother to wear shoes. Barefoot, they ignored the pain of the grass and ran as far as they could. After running for a distance, they saw that the crocodile didn't chase after them and let out a sigh of relief. Oh my, Where did so many crocodiles come from? Fortunately, we didn't go down just now, Sun Dongjia said with a lingering fear in his heart. The other people also deeply agreed. This time, it was all thanks to the big fish that was eaten that day. Otherwise, they would have been finished. This could be considered as keeping their lives. At this time, one by one, they found that their bodies were wet with cold sweat. They walked around the gate of hell and were still scared. After a while, everyone gradually recovered. Looking at the scenery over there, it was no longer as comfortable as when they first arrived. It seemed to be a place that ate people without spitting out the bones. Everyone sat there, unwilling to move for a while. At this time, the eyes of the person who said that he wanted to catch the colored fish lit up. Chapter 506. This person's ideas were really good, and he was always able to come up with ideas when he saw something. Although everyone was scared, this didn't stop them from dreaming of making money. After hearing this person's words, they felt that it was indeed reasonable. If crocodile skin could be made into leather armor, it would be much stronger than some cowhide. Ordinary soldiers couldn't afford to wear it, but those generals didn't have any problems. Their families were rich, especially those who came from aristocratic families. Thinking of this, everyone became interested and no longer feared the crocodiles. Sun Dongjia pondered for a moment and said, "I think we can't go back and look for the local people. Otherwise, if they tell this news to the Zhang family, with the Zhang family's means of making money, how could they not know the value of this place? Zhang Zhong is the provincial governor of this place, so he can do whatever he wants. As long as he casually finds an excuse, such as getting rid of evil for the people, then he can bring a lot of people here to kill the crocodiles. When the time comes, we won't be able to get any benefits. Yes, this matter can't be known to other people. We have to find our own people. However, it seems that dealing with these crocodiles won't be easy. We also need some tools. I don't know if the ship can make tools to kill crocodiles. If they can, then we can talk about it. If they can't, then we have to be careful when we buy them here." Another owner was also very much in favor of this idea. It seems that there should be a lot of crocodiles in this place. With so many crocodiles, they were all money. If they didn't get them back, then they would regret it in their dreams at night. Everyone reached an agreement and nodded. Each of them also expressed their own ideas, especially how to get the crocodiles back after killing them. Some said that they should use gunny sacks to pack the crocodiles, while others said that they should directly peel off the skin here. At that time, others wouldn't be able to see what the crocodiles were. In any case, there were all kinds of ideas. Everyone reached an agreement. As for the final distribution, they would wait until the crocodiles were brought back first. They couldn't let this matter affect the harmony now. The more he spoke, the happier he became. It was as if he was about to make a fortune. After putting on his shoes again, the group began to walk back. When they came, they were looking for something, so they walked slowly. When they returned, they were thinking about making a fortune. As they walked, they suddenly heard a thud. A person seemed to have tripped over something. Everyone was shocked, thinking that there was a crocodile there. When the person got up, they realized that it was a false alarm. The man cursed and lowered his head to see what had tripped him. In the end, he saw something made of wood. It was a pole with a piece of wood on it. He flipped it over and said to the others helplessly, "There's no need to go back and find someone to kill the crocodiles. These crocodiles already have owners." Everyone curiously went closer to take a look and saw that the sign said, "Crocodile Breeding Area. Please be careful. Hunting crocodiles is prohibited." How could this be? Why was it like this? Did the Zhang family think of crocodile? The smile on the face of the man who had thought of this idea just now disappeared. He looked at the words on the sign and couldn't believe it. The others had similar expressions. They felt a deep sense of helplessness. What was this? Could it be that they couldn't find other ways to make money in Lu Zhou's territory? Every crocodile that they found was already owned. They didn't leave any chance at all. Sigh. Sun Dongjia sighed and said to the others, I finally understand now. The Zhang family came here first. They have been here for so long. How could they not explore this place carefully? They would leave anything that could make money. These crocodiles are actually raised by them. There's no other way. Let's go back. The others also understood when they heard this. It was true. The Zhang family was so good at making money. How could they not know that these crocodiles could bring them benefits? Did they really think the Zhang family was a fool? At this time, they had already given up on the matter of the crocodiles. They could imagine that as long as too many people came here, how could the Zhang family not pay attention to the crocodile breeding ground? They would immediately send people over. Fortunately, someone was knocked down and saw the fallen sign. Otherwise, if they really came here to kill the crocodiles and the Zhang family found out, they and the others would not have a good time. At that time, they would have no way to explain themselves. Who would believe that they didn't see the sign? That sign must have been deliberately knocked down by them. Don't be discouraged. Keep looking. Maybe the Zhang family has an unexpected way of making money waiting for us. If there's no other way, we can discuss with Zhang Zhong and do some business with them. It's fine even if we ask for less. After all, everything here is a treasure. Sun Dongjia also thought it through at this time. If they could find something, they would try their best to look for it. If they really couldn't find anything, they would talk to them. They couldn't come here for nothing. The leftovers on the ship had already been paid for. They couldn't go back empty-handed, right? As for bringing back those leftovers, it was even more useless. It was better to bring them to the sea and then put some fish here to collect the travel expenses. The mood of the group of people had been fluctuating back and forth in the past few days. Even when they felt helpless, they were a little glad that they hadn't really boarded the Zhang clan ship back then. Otherwise, even if they had seen something, so what? If they came here, would Zhang Zhong take revenge? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't know that their original idea would bring such a big blow to others. The two of them were still teaching others pinyin. It was indeed easier to teach adults than children. The reading method of pinyin was to first use some Chinese characters to replace them, then use pinyin to spell the Chinese characters. It was a cycle. In the past few days, the people sent by Li Sun had already memorized the 26 letters and knew the rules. Now, they only needed one more proficiency. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finished the last lesson of the day, they didn't have to work so hard anymore. When the time came, they would let the people who learned it continue to teach others. Cuckoo, is it time to go up the mountain? We still don't know what the Sherwan Mountains look like in spring. It's a good opportunity to train them. After throwing away the chalk in his hand, Zhang Xiaobao patted the dust and discussed with Wang Wan. Yes, it's time to go up the mountain. These people need to train frequently. It's a good opportunity to train more in jungle warfare. After all, there will be more jungles in the future. If they aren't careful, they won't be able to adapt, or get sick, or get bitten by something. Wang Wan actually also wanted to go up the mountain to play. These days, she and Zhang Xiaobao were really exhausted and didn't have much free time. It wasn't easy to get things done. They could slowly think about the next thing while training others in the mountain. Anyway, there were now many wooden houses in the mountain, and there was no lack of places to rest. This time, they couldn't not bring Li Sun up the mountain. Li Sun planned to bring more people this time. Last time, he only brought 50 people, which was a bit too little. This time, he planned to leave the 50 people who went last time and bring the other 150 people with him. They would use the method last time, which was to rush to the mountain. The advantage of going now was that the weather wasn't that hot, so 150 people could enjoy themselves. Moreover, they didn't need to bring so many things. They only needed to bring food for a few days. When they reached the mountain, there was food everywhere, so they didn't have to worry about going hungry. While they were discussing about going up the mountain to play, the people in Qinzhou were busy planting this year's crops and some vegetables. Tang, governor of Ning, even if it wasn't for the imperial court, he still had to work hard for the Ning family's foundation here. He gathered all the people in each county and assigned them a task. This year, not only did they have to plant all the land, but they also had to open up more land according to their current proportion of land. When the time came, they would be rent-free for a period of time. He didn't say how long this period of time was. In fact, there was a rule, but he didn't want to follow that rule. That would cause him to lose a lot of benefits. 1 year might be his limit. He didn't want to see others reap the benefits while he didn't get anything. After this order was issued, those officials all complained. It wasn't that they didn't want to accept this task, but they didn't have that many people. If more than 15,000 people left, how were they going to plant? Could it be that they had to do it themselves? Even so, they wouldn't be able to plant much. Tang, governor of Ning, didn't care about this. He only cared about giving orders. If an official didn't do a good job, he would find trouble with that official. Under such circumstances, the officials from each county left dejectedly. They really didn't know how to plant so much land. If they wanted to plant the land, they would need a lot of cows. They understood that they could just fork out the money themselves. Maybe they could make it in time. In the end, they didn't know if they could earn back the money. They could only think of other ways. However, the land reclamation task was not easy. Could they use cows to reclaim the land? It was impossible now. To reclaim the land, they had to burn the land and plow the land. After the land was plowed, they had to bring water over. There weren't that many people now. When they thought of the population, these officials were filled with resentment. They hated Zhong. If he didn't come over, if he didn't send people to provide disaster relief, why would all the people here go to Luzhou? Apart from hating Zhong, they also complained about Tang, governor of Ning. All of this was caused by him. If he didn't stop the caravan, would they do this? If he sent people to help when the wind came and didn't hide in the cellar for such a long time, would the local people be bitterly disappointed? These were all impossible. But what could they do now? They could only discuss with the others and see if they could come up with a solution. They couldn't just stand there and do nothing, right? What should they do? What should they do? After these people left Tang, governor of Ning's place, they didn't immediately disperse. Instead, they gathered together and began to discuss what to do. One by one they discussed. Tang, governor of Ning, was also worried about this year's farming. Naturally, he knew how many people were missing here. It was not just 15,000 people. 15,000 people had gone to Luzhou. There were also some people who didn't go to Luzhou. They had distant relatives in other places, so they went to seek shelter with them. In addition to the people who died, more than 20,000 people were missing. How many people were there in Qinzhou? It would be a lie to say that he didn't regret it. He also knew that if he could send people over earlier, or provide enough food, not so many people would leave. Now that he knew about it, there was nothing he could do. He could only send the pressure to the people below and let the people below bear it. He felt that he had not had a good time during this period of time, and the root cause of all this was after Zhong came here. In the past, when he stopped those caravans, no one in Luzhou would say anything. He was already used to it. Since Zhong came, he first restricted some useful things from coming to his place. Then he brought 2 disasters. Yes, these disasters were brought by Zhong. The more Tang, governor of Ning, thought about it, the angrier he became. He slammed his hand on the table, startling the steward who had just come in. When he saw that it was just a slap on the table, the steward quickly walked up and said, "Master, it's almost time. Don't you want to go to the back and have a look? The people there are almost ready. It's time to eat again? Fine, let's eat. We still have food to eat today. Who knows when all the people in Qinzhou will go to Luzhou? At that time, there will be no one to grow food. We can all just wait to starve to death." The emperor clearly knows what kind of impact it will have on Qinzhou if those people leave, but he didn't say a word about it. My Ning family is working so hard for him, and he doesn't pity us at all? I'm so angry. Who's going to grow all these empty land? Does our family have to do it too? Tang, governor of Ning, was full of anger now. No matter what he saw, he would find a way to vent his anger. The steward also knew that this year's food was going to run out. If there was no one to grow the land, what was the use of having good land? When the time came, the taxes would not increase, and the Ning family would lose a lot of money. Of course, this was not to say that they would not be able to eat. Even if all the people starved to death, it would not affect the Ning family. The Ning family had their own land, and they had taken over a lot of it through various means. There were people who specialized in growing food there. No matter what happened elsewhere, the Ning family had enough food every year. They could even sell a lot of it. Yes, they could put the new food in the warehouse and sell the old food. The problem was that this was not how they sold it in the past. They used to mix the old food with the rent and send it to the other side. If 100 caddies of food was mixed with 10 caddies of food, no one would be able to tell the difference. In any case, the people in charge of inspecting the food would only take a quick look and weigh it. When the time came, they would give the officials their salaries. Thinking of this, the steward's mood improved a little. Those officials from the capital were awe-inspiring, but no matter how awe-inspiring they were, what could they do? If they said that the rent they sent was mixed with some old food, then they could only eat such food. If they said that they spit or put some sand in their food, then they would not be able to tell. In order to make the master happy, the steward said what he was thinking. Sure enough, when Tang, governor of Ning, heard the steward's words, he laughed and said, "Yes, so what if they are officials from the capital? They still have to look at our faces. In a while, I will write an impeachment report. Instead of giving it to the emperor, I will ask the person in charge of impeachment to write a new report. Then, I will go and impeach Zhong. If they don't dare to do it, then I will put feces in their rent for the second half of this year." Tang, governor of Ning, who felt a little better in his heart, found the steward much more pleasing to the eye. He followed the steward to the back of the hall. When they were eating, he said to the steward, "What do you think we can do to plant all the food here?" The wasteland reclamation I mentioned was nothing more than to scare those officials. I can already imagine that when the time comes, they won't think that there will be any wasteland. But if I don't say that and directly mention the matter of planting all the land, they will delay the matter of planting the land. Now, they will desperately plant the land. Master, you are right. They are indeed such people. No matter how much pressure you put on them, there will always be things that they will not do. The less pressure you put on them, the more they will not work hard. Master, you are the best. I didn't think of this. Master, speaking of farming, this lowly one learned from those who were sent out to gather information that Zhong didn't let the people farm on their own. Instead, he gathered the people together before letting them work together. Master, shouldn't we try the same thing? In fact, the steward had this idea in his mind. He found that the speed at which Lu Zhou gathered the people to work on the land was much faster than before. After all, some people were faster at plowing the land, some were faster at planting the seedlings, and some were faster at disposing the water. Of course, another reason was that the commoners all listened to Zhong and never slacked off. Moreover, they were divided into small farming groups and competitions. The faster they were, the better they were, and the better they were, the better the rewards they would get. Of course, another reason was that the commoners all listened to Zhong and never slacked off. Moreover, they were divided into small farming groups and competitions. The faster they were, the better they would get. This was the most important thing. If the people were to work in the competition, they would have people to chat with. Naturally, they would work faster and would not feel tired. Otherwise, if they were to work alone, they would feel dizzy just by looking at them. Tang, governor of Ning, was very happy when he heard the steward's praise. When the steward said that he wanted to learn from Zhong's method, Tang, governor of Ning, made an exception and did not get angry. He had to admit that the Zhong family was capable. Although he did not know the specific reason, since the people gathered together could work faster, why not try and learn from Zhong? All right, then I will leave this matter to you. Tell the county magistrates to gather the people together like what Lu Zhou did. Then, they will plant the land and open up more wastelands. Tang, governor of Ning, did not want to see those county magistrates anymore. When he was giving orders today, they were like wooden blocks. Not only did they not know anything, but they kept whispering how difficult it was. Was it difficult? If it were Zhang Zhong, perhaps he would have a good idea. What do you think, if Zhang Zhong encountered such a situation, what would he do? Tang, governor of Ning, asked casually. The steward was stunned. After thinking for a moment, he said, Master, I don't think Zhang Zhong can do anything. After all, the situation here is different from before. Even Master can only come up with such a difficult method. How can Zhang Zhong compare to Master? Yes, I think so too. You go and talk to those county magistrates first. Come back for dinner after you're done. Tang, governor of Ning, was very happy even though he knew that the steward's words were not reliable. Yes, Master. The steward answered and left in a hurry. The sooner he finished talking, the sooner he could come back. Today's meal was delicious. He could not miss it. He usually could not eat today's food. When the steward came to the side of a large tree where the officials who had yet to leave were, he could already hear the voices of these people discussing how to adapt. Out of curiosity, the steward slowed down and listened carefully, preparing to hear something useful so that he could give the old master some ideas. The more he listened, the more he realized that those people had indeed come up with many ideas, but none of them could be used. Someone even came up with an idea to get the people from Lu Zhou's side to help with the farming. This was clearly a fool's dream. The other side suddenly mentioned what would happen if Lu Zhou's Zhang Zhong was here. When the steward heard this, his interest was piqued. In the end, the other side gave a variety of answers. It seems that they can't think of anything. As for Zhang Zhong, if he was here, it would be a different scene. Why bother to torment people? The steward muttered in a low voice. He made those people who were still seriously thinking of ideas look at him and said to them, speaking of Zhang Zhong, he may have learned some things from other places. If he really encountered the problem here, he may not have any ideas. He can only use the old tricks. Steward Ning, what old tricks? When someone heard that there was an old trick that could work, he quickly asked. This was the effect that the steward deliberately made. He could not tell everyone at the beginning that they should learn from Zhang Zhong now. That would be very embarrassing. He could tell them this method by belittling Zhang Zhong. Even if Master knew about it, he would not find trouble with him. When he heard this person's question, the steward smiled and said, What else can it be? Of course, it's the method that Zhang Zhong used many times before. Gather the people together and let them work. In this way, the capable people can naturally do their own work well. Moreover, we don't have to worry about those people being lonely when they work by themselves or by themselves. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.